Now, do you not have to specify, like, who are the victims who had really suffered and what kind of compensation that you will be claiming?
Your Honor, under Rule 89 to 91, what the Council is moving under, it allows an individual or a collection of victims to represent themselves via a legal representative. And individual victims may not necessarily be identified. However, in this situation, those who have come forth are being represented. Those who have voluntarily come forth are being represented by this legal representative. May the Council proceed?
Yes.
Much obliged. Your Honor, with respect to the notion of harm, as set in Lubanga by the ICC itself, there are three types of harm, that is physical, mental and economical, as discussed on page 2 of the written submission, are all met in this situation. With this, yes.
That's the definition of a victim.
Yes.
Right? We are possessed of that. Now, what's the basis on which you structure your application?
Your Honor, the clause itself reads that the victims are natural persons who have suffered harm, which is a result of a crime which is within the jurisdiction of the court, and that there is a causal link. The Council will be breaking down this very definition and providing that, one, they were victims as per the definition, secondly, that there was a notion of harm, and thirdly, that there was a nexus with respect to the crime, because these harms, which is physical, mental and economical, are directly resulting from crimes such as genocide, war crimes, as well as crimes against humanity. And that there is, the fourth submission, as written in the memorial itself, is that sufficient personal interest has been affected. Personal interest, Your Honor, has been defined in the case of Lubanga by the trial chamber itself, which states that personal interest is a general interest in the outcome of the case, an issue, or even an evidence. And in this case, Your Honor, personal interest hinges on two motives for the victims, that is, the right to justice and the right to reparations.
So at least consider questions of reparation, is it?
Indeed, Your Honor, that is one of the prayers pled for. If the Council could give an example as to how we are different from the prosecution, may I proceed? Your Honors, with respect to the crime of genocide, even if there are no victims, the court may still hold the defendant liable. And in this situation, the reason why the victims are necessary to be brought in is because, one, they shed light on the sufferings that have occurred and help construe a nexus between the harm and the acts. Secondly, Your Honor, is that it puts the crime in perspective, that it shows the chambers the ground reality. And lastly, Your Honor, is the fact that it gives you
I think we are possessed of what you're saying. Can we hear anyone else, any other counsel who wants to respond to this application? No. No, she wants to call these victims, right? For a greater understanding, or to unfold the narrative more fully. Now, is there any kind of objection to that? No.
Your Honor, to substantiate on that point and to eliminate any confusion, the Council would like to cite the case of Pierre Bemba, where the court talked about the concept of putting the crime in perspective, where basically they said that the victims are the only ones which understand the environment or the context of the war, whereas that is the first-hand information and the first-hand knowledge of not only the crimes but also the atrocities can only best be given by the victims, and the ICC has acknowledged and accepted this standard.
Who do you hold responsible primarily for this, whatever happened to these victims, and from whom do you expect the compensation?
Your Honor, we directly allege the accused, that is Susan Vanchuk, for the crimes committed. and as per the reparations, the same shall be decided in the sentencing stage. Lastly, Your Honor, the Council would like to submit that the aim of the Chamber is not to purely adjudicate upon the matters presented by the prosecution and the defense. Rather, it's to find the truth in the matter at hand. And we believe that the perspective brought forth by the victims will show the truth. And therefore, the victims plead that Your Honors allow the victims to first make opening and closing submissions and lead evidence, and lastly to examine and cross-examine the following witnesses. First, from the prosecution side, witness 2, 4, 6 and 7, and from the defense side, 2, 1, 6 and 7.
2, 1, 6 and 7.
That's right.
So you are allowed only 2 from each side, from the prosecution side as well as from the defense side.
The
2
legal
each.
Much obliged, Your Honor. Your Honor, the legal representative understands that the defense witnesses.
Out of these 4 from the prosecution, out of the 4 from the defense, you can choose 2 each.
Your Honor, the reason why we would like to examine all 4 witnesses would be because with respect to the defense witnesses, that is, defense witness, if the Council may just address the question and finish.
Yes.
Much obliged. With respect to defense witness 2, 1 and 6, the Council puts forth that defense witness 1 is the accused herself, and therefore to establish a nexus and a link, which is a requirement, it is necessary that we examine witness number 1 from the defense side. With respect to defense witness number 2, we believe that he is a military personnel, a naval personnel, who who is receiving commands from the accused, and therefore there is a chance of torture being committed by the Navy themselves. Your Honor, with respect to witness number 6 and 7, one is an engineer who places both the accused on the site of the prisons and gives an insider's information as he is a regular visitor at the prisons. And lastly, with respect to witness 7, Your Honors, is a legal aid worker whose fallacious work basically say that all the matters raised by the victims are essentially incorrect. So we would like to definitely cross-examine that witness.
So we reject your request for 4-4, and it will be 2-2 from each side.
Indeed.
You are the other person who will be speaking on behalf of the victim. You will be speaking. So we will restrict them to only 2 each.
Much obliged.
You can choose.
May the Council be allowed to discuss with the...
Yes.
Much obliged. Your Honors, the victim, the legal representative on behalf of the victim would choose PW2 along with PW7. That is PW2 and 7. And from the defense side, we would request you to allow us to examine DW2 and DW1.
From the
Defense side.
defense side,
DW2 and DW1.
1.
2 and 1.
From the prosecution, 2 and 7, is it?
That's right.
Yes.
Thank you.
the opening statement. Now you said with the facts and legal questions. We can't wait now, no? Oh, okay. Sorry. On the total thing. So we'll listen to him first. Right. So speaker one, speaker two. So will they take it in different the knowledge of fact? Now how many? Oh yeah, no, we know that. So what I'm saying now, how many speakers do we have altogether? Two speakers. Right. Right. No, but they, just one moment. You just thought.
Making the opening statement for the prosecution.
Yes, Your Excellency. A very good afternoon, Your Excellency.
You're speaker one.
I'm
We take it as speaker one.
Speaker one. A very good afternoon, Your Excellencies. I'm counsel appearing on behalf of the prosecution in the case of the prosecutor versus Susan Wanchuk. From the beginning of the war between Eastern Slade and Western Slade in 2011, we shall look at the grave crimes that Susan Wanchuk has committed. During the trial, we shall see how Susan Wanchuk very consciously and carefully carried out each action in furtherance of her crimes. The accused, Susan Wanchuk, is charged with the crimes of inciting genocide, crimes against humanity, and also war crimes. Your Excellency, to get a clearer understanding of the facts, may I invite your attention to page 10 of the compromis. If Your Excellencies are with me.
Yes.
Your Excellencies, the island of Central Slade has come up recently as a result of tectonic plate movements, and Western Slade and Eastern Slade both wanted to establish sovereignty over the islands. Your Excellency, this is how the war between Western Slade and Eastern Slade broke out. Eastern Slade and Western Slade both have a policy of... Eastern Slade has a policy of taking prisoners of war. Your Excellency, the prisoners of war are stored in, are taken to Atco prisons, which is a private prison. Your Excellency, the accused, Ms. Susan Wanchuk, is the Eastern Slade Minister of Defense, and she also holds a very high rank in the Atco prison chain of command. Your Excellencies, we shall see how Susan Manchuk, using her power, misused the, the said power to avenge the death of her mother and the insanity of her father. Her hatred for Crossford, as well as the Western Slate, has fueled her aggressive need to crush all the Crossfordians like cockroaches. Your Excellency, the prisoners, which included both prisoners of war as well as civilians, were subjected to a regime of forced labor. They had to work for 62 hours a week on a range of employment activities. Your Excellency, Vanchuk personally reviewed all the details of disciplinary regime at the prison. Your Excellencies, for every hour not worked, the prisoner lost a meal. For every 5 hours he did not work, he was subjected to corporal punishment. Your Excellency, she also introduced a new rule for her mere pleasure, where prisoners were made to impose corporal punishments on each other. Your Excellency, to prove the guilt of the defendant, the prosecution would invite prosecution witnesses 2, 4, 6, and 7 to the witness stand. Your Excellency, to establish the relevance of these witnesses, prosecution witness 2 and prosecution witness 7 have suffered these atrocities firsthand. They are witnesses to the crimes that have taken place, which are alleged to have been committed by the defendant. Your Excellencies,
Counsel, but if you have to establish that it was Susan Wanchuk who had the responsibility of issuing such directions, you also have to make clear that it is not done at the behest of somebody else. Here, as per your facts, it is from probably the Chief Minister, Boolean, who probably had such an influence on her that she was either forced or she had to do this to please him. So can you fix the responsibility on Susan Wanchuk alone?
Most certainly, Your Excellency, during the course of the trial, through various witnesses, we would try to prove that the real authority with regards to the prisons was with Susan Wanchuk and not Chief Minister Andre Bhuiyan. And Your Excellency, we would be finally calling prosecution witness 6, the prison guard. He was a prison guard with the ATCO. Your Excellency would also be placing reliance on annexures 1, 2, 3, and 8. During the course of the trial, we will try to prove that Susan Wanchuk should be held guilty for inciting the said crimes. Your Excellencies, at the conclusion of the trial, we would ask you to find the defendant guilty of all charges. Much obliged, Your Excellencies.
Yes, yeah.
What's his name?
Probably we should have said this at the outset, so we take all the
He's
facts
now.
to be correct,
The early one. He's this one.
and all the documents are marked,
Indeed, Your Honor.
so that you don't have to talk about the admissibility of these documents or evidence as such.
Much obliged, Your Honor. The victims are grateful to that decision. Your Honors, at the outset, the legal representative of the victims would like to express gratitude to this chamber for having allowed the victims to be a part of this trial. A synopsis of the detailed legal submissions of the counsels have been provided for the benefit of this chamber on preliminary pages 16 to 18 of the written submissions. Your Honors, the same may be perused for the chamber's convenience. In the opening statement, the counsel will lay out a roadmap charge by charge as to how the legal representative of the victims will be establishing the nexus of harm between the alleged crime of the accused and the detriment of the personal interests of the victims. With the permission of the bench, the counsel will start the first submission.
Yes, yes.
Your Honor, the first submission that the counsel will be making relates to the charge of Article 6 of genocide. The victims submit that all the victims in this matter were protected under the Article 6 and fell under the group of national group, and therefore which encompassed all ethnic, religious and racial differences between them, and therefore this categorization serves as a protected group under which the victims were a part of. Your Honors, we further submit that the accused did have mens rea and special intent to destroy this group in part, and the same will be led as evidence before the chamber. Your Honors, we also seek to submit that the company, which is ASCO, which is a private company which utilized forced labor of this protected group, with the knowledge that such forced labor may cause destruction of this group in part, also leads to the addition of special intent on behalf of the accused. Your Honors, it is pertinent to note that the accused occupies a significant office within the chain of command of this prison company. Your Honors, moving on to the next submission within this charge, we also submit that the accused directly and publicly incited the commission of genocide, and there is a causal link between this speech of genocide and the harm caused to the victims. The legal representative of the victims, during the course of examinations and cross-examinations, will establish how genocide was actually conducted based on the speech which led to the incitement of genocide. Your Honors, moving to my second submission.
Just to interrupt you, you refer to the special intent requirement with regard to the crime of genocide. Can you elaborate on that further in light of the jurisprudence of the ICC and also the relevant case law?
Much obliged, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, genocide requires the special intent or dolus specialis, which means that the accused should have had the absolute volition or the will to destroy the protected group as provided under Article 6. Your Honors, this special...
But what is a protected group under Article 6?
Much obliged, Your Honors. Your Honors, a protected group is a group of individuals which is defined as stable by permanent membership. Your Honors, the determining feature of this protected group may be either religious, racial, ethnic or national. The same has been provided under Article 6 of the Rome Statute. Your Honors, the special intent which is required by the accused for a conviction under this charge is that the accused should have had a special intent to destroy this group in whole or in part. Your Honors, additionally, the victims will also submit before the chamber that over the course of jurisprudence in this matter from the criminal tribunals as well as the ICC, there is a reduction of the threshold requirement from dolus specialis to dolus eventualis. Your Honors, dolus eventualis stands different from dolus specialis in the light that the accused need not have explicitly wanted the destruction of the group, but may have had the knowledge that her conduct will cause such destruction. Your Honors, the detailed submissions on both these points of specialis as well as eventualis are on page 9.
Can we ask you this? If you're asking for compensation,
indeed, Your Honor,
and that's what you're asking for, should it not be quantified? Would you leave it to this court? If you say these are all the sufferings caused to these victims and what they've undergone, would you leave it to the court or would you quantify and say this is the amount or what kind of reparation that you would like to have as a relief?
Your Honors, the counsel will answer that question in a two-pronged fashion. The first being that the regime of procedure at the ICC allows us to first seek reparations and ask the chamber to grant reparations to the if the accused is convicted. Your Honors, then begins the stage of sentencing whereby the chamber will hear arguments on the exact...
What kind of reparations you would like?
Your Honors, the victims here seek monetary reparations to the economic harm suffered. Your Honours, the Council seeks an extension of time to complete his submissions on this issue. Your Honours, the victims seek...
One more minute.
Your Honour.
1 minute.
Indeed, Your Honour. Should this chamber convict the accused, the victims seek to claim monetary compensation from the accused, and this arguments on the same will be advanced at the sentencing stage of this trial. Your Honours, therefore, the chamber may refer to paragraph 4 on page 2 of the written submissions that detail the economic harm. Your Honours, moving back to the submissions of the council submits that through the evidences of victim witness 1 and victim witness 2, we shall be establishing a causal link between the crime and that of the harm caused.
How is harm defined under the procedural rules? The term harm isn't defined at all. What guidance would you offer the court in determining how to assess whether these victims have suffered harm or not?
Your Honours, as per the jurisprudence of the International Criminal Tribunal so far, harm has been construed as a detriment to the personal interest of the victims represented. Your Honours, in 30 seconds if the council may conclude submissions.
Just complete that answer.
Indeed, Your Honours. Your Honours, therefore, the councils will seek to establish how the personal interests of the victims have been affected by the accused, and with the contextual elements and mens rea, we concur with the prosecution, but go further on to establish this link before the Honourable Chamber. Much obliged, Your Honours.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Your Honours. This is the opening counsel on behalf of the defendant. Your Honours, we have all assembled here with a common aim, that is to seek justice from the doors of this International Criminal Court. But what if I tell you that the person against whom we seek justice was herself wrong on all possible fronts? Your Honours, Susan Wangchuk, the process by which Susan Wangchuk was selected for trial was wrong, and the jurisdiction of this honorable court was not triggered properly. And further, the accused in the case at hand was nothing more than a scapegoat who was following the orders of his superiors. Your Honours, it is humbly submitted before the court that the defendant Susan Wangchuk had expressly reserved her right to raise any objections to the trial based on the process of selection by which she was selected for trial, which can be ascertained from the paragraph 14 of the Moot compromise.
But didn't she volunteer to? There's a principle, isn't it, that nobody should complain about voluntary conduct?
Apologies, Your Honour.
She volunteered. She appeared before the tribunal voluntarily, didn't she?
Your Honour, Susan Wangchuk did not volunteer. In the aftermath of the war, 4 names were forwarded by a committee. The committee consisted of members from all the 4 nations involved in the conflict, and they forwarded 4 names to be tried before the International Criminal Court. Whereas Article 14 mandates, Article 14 of the Rome Statute clearly delineates and unequivocally mandates that the state may only refer a situation to the prosecutor, triggering the jurisdiction of the court, Your Honour. A situation is the overall factual context.
No, maybe I put the question wrongly to you. Didn't she submit to the jurisdiction of the tribunal?
She did submit to the jurisdiction.
So out of the 4, 3 had gone underground, absconded, legal terms. Only one of them have submitted herself, as we pointed out, to the prosecution.
Indeed, Your Honour.
So that's what we were asking.
Your Honour, but she also expressly reserved her right to raise any objections for the to the trial on the process by which she was selected for the trial itself. Your Honour, the jurisdiction was not triggered properly. Why? Because the situation is the overall factual context in which it is believed that a crime has been committed under the jurisdiction of the court, and hence ICC's jurisdiction cannot be triggered against a specific person, which happened in the case at hand.
But what is your legal basis for that submission? The idea that she objects to being brought to trial. If she is alleged to have committed a crime, shouldn't her conduct be investigated and she should be prosecuted as a result? What is the legal basis for your submission? Can you rely on any jurisprudence to support your argument?
The process, the Article 42 of the statute mandates that the prosecutor shall act independently of instructions from any other external source. But in this case, Your Honour, while investigating, after it was referred to the prosecutor was referred 4 names, and in his investigation, he brought to prosecution only those 4 names, and no other individuals was hauled up before this court. That is why the council claims that the prosecutor neglected in his duty.
What provision of Article 42 are you relying on? Because it is composed of 9 parts.
The council seeks permission to refer to the Ware Act.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Is it 42(1)?
Indeed, Your Honour, it is Article 42, Clause 1. The last line of the clause says that a member of the office shall not seek or act on instructions from any external source. But the external source in this case was the ASCO, was the standing committee, which forwarded 4 names, and only those 4 names were adhered to, and no other individual was further hauled up. And if the bench is satisfied, the council would like to continue.
I didn't hear the last part of your submission. What did you say? Could you repeat yourself?
Indeed. The process by which the defendant was selected for trial was not proper, in the sense that Article 42 mandates that the investigation should be free from any external source. But here the external source,
what? External?
From any external source.
Source?
Yes.
Yes, but intergovernmental organisations, NGOs, they are permitted to submit evidence to the court. So how do you differentiate ASCO from, or my apologies, the Commission from activities or evidences submitted by the other organisations?
Your time is up, but if you want more time, you'll have to make a request.
The council requests more time in interest of justice.
You can confer with the other members of the team if you wish.
For more time.
You can have one more minute to answer this.
Indeed, Your Honor. Your Honor, what the Lordship asked was that whether the NGOs or other intergovernmental bodies can submit evidences. So the NGOs in concern act on pro moto basis, and they can submit evidences. Whereas what we are talking about is a state party referral. Here, a state party referred these for defendants, which cannot be the case according to the Rome Statute, because Rome Statute specifically says only situations to be referred to the prosecutor for triggering the jurisdiction, which did not happen in the case. And therefore, to conclude, the jurisdiction was improperly triggered based on Article 14 of the Rome Statute, and continuing the trial would be prejudicial to the defendant. If the counsel could be granted another minute to sum up the facts.
No, we can do that at an appropriate stage. So that will be your defense in the name.
Indeed.
That will be your chief line of defense.
Indeed not, Your Lord. Indeed not, Your Lordship. Your Excellency, it is contended that.
It might be very useful if you do it in quick bullet point form, so that
Okay.
you get all those stuff.
Okay, further. Can I be given? Okay.
Half a minute for you.
Okay. So at this point, it is very pertinent to note that Susan Wangchuk. Susan Wangchuk was second joined in command of ASCO, and ASCO was owned by Andre Bullion. Andre Bullion once expressed his view and called for Cambridge and Eastern Slate to develop significant military weapons and take over the entire Bay of Gandhar. His view was based on the view that Crossfordians were of a lesser race altogether, and the role in life should be limited to providing manual labor. Further, Your Lordship, when this war started, the Eastern Slate managed to capture 285,000 people, which were subjected 10 more seconds to complete this, which was subjected to brutal torture, and they was
Your time is up.
the point, if it could be
The
completed.
point, that's all. It goes half down.
Indeed, Your Excellency, it was a pleasure arguing. Thank you.
We can proceed, yes.
So if you could
You're
take
for? Examination for the prosecution.
Prosecution examination in chief. Yeah, I think so.
Examination for the prosecution. This is for the she's this one, huh?
Ashana. Okay. So Jana, Anika and she are on the prosecution side. Got it. I've got it. Actually, this is much easier. You know, this is a bit... okay, okay. So you mark on this. No, I'll use that. No, this is fine. I'll use that.
So yes, we are informed that you will be doing the chief examination for four of them.
Prosecution witness 2 and prosecution witness 4. 2 of them.
2 and 4.
2 and 4.
2 and 4. Yes.
Yep. Yes.
I would like to call prosecution witness 2 to stand.
Yes, you can start.
Can you please introduce yourself to the court?
I'm 32 years old and I was a technician on board the ship, the Circumnavigator.
Where are you from?
I'm from Portugal.
And have you lived in Portugal all your life?
No, I was born there. I grew up there, went to school in Portugal. But thereafter, I went and did my undergraduation in engineering from the National School of Engineering in Eastern Slade. Thereafter, I went for my postgraduate degree in engineering from the Western School Slade of Engineering.
Did you start working as a technician soon after that?
I did. I was recruited by a shipping company in Crossford. Thereafter, I started working on the Circumnavigator in the circuit room.
What did you do on the Circumnavigator?
I was a technician. I worked in the circuit room.
No, how relevant are these questions?
Your Excellency, all that prosecution will try to prove through this witness is that civilian ships were attacked, which is why I need to ask these questions that I'm asking right now.
Yes.
You can actually lead the witness on the agreed facts, the fact that she was a technician. We know that. So you can lead the witness on some of those common facts.
May I proceed?
Yes.
What is the Circumnavigator transport?
It is in the business of transporting textiles from China to Western Slade.
Okay. And can you tell us what happened in October 2012?
We were sailing towards Western Slade when our ship was hijacked. We were taken prisoners by people who had come on board our ship. Now the ship was the other ship that came. It seemed to have the flag of Western Slade, but I believe that the people who came on board and hijacked our ship were from Eastern Slade.
How can you say that they were Eastern Sladers for sure?
Like I said, I've been in both the countries for a significant amount of time for my studies, for my education, and hence I can safely say that I can distinguish between the two accents. They're very distinct in nature, and one can easily tell.
What did they do after hijacking your ship?
All of our crew members were taken prisoners. We were locked inside the rooms on our ship. We were made to obey orders, failing which we were tortured, and some of us could not take it anymore. Some of us tried to escape and jumped into the sea, but they were shot at by the guards.
How many prisoners were there on the ship?
To begin with, there were 150 crew members and all of them were taken prisoners, so there were 150 prisoners. But 20 of those, like I said, tried to escape and were shot. In the end, when they had started running out of resources, they decided to pack some of us off on a lifeboat and send us off. So there were 30 of us on that boat. I believe 100 or so prisoners were left behind.
May I ask one last question, Your Excellency?
Yes, one last question.
In the photographs of the life raft that have been submitted to the ICC, there have been a few blood stains. So what can you describe about them?
The people who were packed on the lifeboat, several of them had severed limbs and a lot of injuries. While we were sailing, it so happened that a lot of water flooded into the boat, after which most of the blood on the life raft was washed off. But yes, even after that, since there were wounds, they bled. So maybe there might not have been a lot of blood, but there was blood.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, close. As far as this witness is concerned,
Yes,
close. You're for the victim.
That is right.
You'll have to introduce yourself, huh? When you start, say who you are for exactly.
Okay. This is the counsel on behalf of the victims. May the counsel now proceed to cross-examine the witness.
What is your name?
Tanishtha Ved. May the counsel proceed?
Yes.
Much obliged. PW2, could you tell us at what point in the war did this incident occur?
In October 2012.
Thank you. Could you tell us what was the nationality of those on the of the other members or of the other crew members?
The other crew members?
Yes.
Dominantly, they were Western sladers.
Thank you. Could you tell us how did the conditions change on the ship pursuant to the attack?
Completely. We were taken prisoners, and we were made to do things that we had not done before.
So why would you say that you and your particular ship was attacked in this situation? Why you?
I believe we were in the wrong place at the wrong time.
So you believe that a lot of other ships could have been attacked in that particular area?
My ship was attacked while we were sailing to Western Slade, that is all I know.
Okay. Were there any searches conducted by the attackers on your ship?
Yeah, they raided the ship to find out how many resources there are.
So, do you know if they were looking for something in particular?
I do not know that.
So, they did not find anything on your ship?
Food and provisions, yes, they did round all of that up and kept it.
So, no military equipment was found?
There were no military equipment on our,
Thank you.
ship.
Could you just answer the last question and tell the chamber whether there was any indication of setting you free at any point in time?
Could you come again?
Could you elaborate if there was any indication on behalf of the Eastern Sladers to set you free at any point in time?
There wasn't.
Thank you. No further questions.
I did not, sir.
You were supposed to be on the raft.
Yes, sir. This happened. 30 of us were packed off into rafts. At one point, when the Easterners had realized that they are running out of resources, so they packed some of us off in that life raft.
Were you also bitten by rats?
Yeah. Yes, sir. There were diseased rats on the boat, and yes, quite a lot of us were bitten.
For the defendant seeks permission to cross-examine the witness.
First question council would like to ask ma'am. Apologies.
You can start.
How could you ascertain that you were attacked by Eastern Sladers?
Sorry?
How did you ascertain that you were attacked by Eastern Sladers?
Like I said, they have very distinct accents, and I think I'm in a position to decipher between the two of those because I've spent a significant amount of time in both countries.
How much time have you spent in both the countries?
My undergraduation was for about 4 years, so 4 years in Eastern Slade and about 3 years in Western Slade.
And which ship were you attacked from?
Which ship?
Were you attacked by? I'm sorry. Which ship were you attacked by?
I did not see the name.
You do not see the name.
Yeah.
Yet you saw the flag?
Yes.
Which flag was it of?
Western Slade.
And the accents were of?
Eastern Slade.
Eastern Slade, is that correct? And so you differentiated Eastern Slade and Western Slade on the basis of accents, is that correct?
Yes.
And not on the basis of languages?
The languages spoken in both the countries is the same. It's just the accent that's different.
Which language?
English.
English is spoken. So on the basis of the accent of the English language, you could distinguish between Eastern Slade and Western Slade?
Yes.
And
Can I stop you for a moment? It might be useful for you to probe rather than suggest answers to the questions.
Could you tell me something about the accents of the Cambridge country?
The Cambridge,
Yes.
it's largely similar to that of the Eastern Sladers.
Indeed. Could you now tell me about the correlation between Cambridge and Eastern Slade in the war, please?
I'm not aware of that.
You're not aware of the correlation? Okay.
Don't venture opinions. Opinions are not to be ventured.
Or even leading questions.
Indeed, Excellency. Apologies, Excellency. And you were subjected, and what were you subjected to on the ships?
Torture.
What form of torture, please?
Caning, waterboarding.
Could you explain waterboarding, please?
Explain waterboarding.
What's the process of waterboarding, please?
We were made to be entrapped in certain chambers that were then filled with water, and then...
So you were filled in chambers with water?
Yes.
And okay, and that's the process of waterboarding, correct?
To my knowledge, yes. I might be mistaken.
Okay. That'll be all, yes.
Yes. Hello.
We don't have them. Why don't we give it to one of us? Who's the next witness?
Yes, who comes next? Yes.
You can stand down.
I would like the permission of the court to call upon prosecution witness 4.
Yes.
Much obliged. Prosecution witness 4, introduce yourself to the court, please.
I am a citizen of Eastern Slade. I am 40 years old and I work as a political advisor.
Can you tell us how you are related to Susan Woncher?
I was her personal assistant until I was replaced by a relative of hers.
Okay, and what was your reaction to this replacement?
To be honest, I was relieved because our ideologies never matched after the war had started. She always discredited all the suggestions which I had put forward to her, and basically there was a lot of conflict between our ideologies.
Okay, and how was the relation?
Can I interrupt you for a minute? Were you irked by the fact that you were replaced by your relation?
No, Your Lordship. I was in fact relieved.
May I proceed, Your Excellency? How was Susan Wonchak's relations with Andrei Builo?
Susan Wonchak was in a way a protege of Andrei Bullion. Both of them shared a common hatred towards the Crossfordians and the people from Western Slade.
Okay. And what was Susan Wonchak's role in the management of the ACCO prison facilities?
She directly administered the 5 prison facilities.
And what were these 5 prison facilities?
There were 5 prisons, namely Hathir, Bluegate, Vastil, Panopticon and Tefleka.
Okay. And what was the policy regarding working hours in these prisons?
According to the policies, the prisoners were subjected to work for 62 hours a week, and even if they don't work for 1 hour, they were deprived of their 1 meal. And if they did not work for 5 hours, they were subjected to severe corporal punishment.
Okay. And how were the conditions in Hathir, the prison Hathir?
In Hathir, people with no legs were made to look after the garden, and the prisoners with no hands were made to serve food and clean up They were made to clean up the premises.
Okay. How are the conditions in Panopticon?
In Panopticon, the conditions were of sort that can you please repeat the...
How are the conditions in the prison Panopticon?
Okay. Panopticon was the prison which was where the soldiers of the Western Slade were kept, and they were subjected to even severe corporal punishment.
Counsel, I take it that you are aware of the rule that the witness can only testify to things that are within his personal knowledge, and not guesswork, not opinions, not popular beliefs.
Oh. Right. May I ask one last question?
You can one last question within the rules.
You accepted writing the mails to Susan Wonchak. Do you accept writing these emails to Susan Wonchak?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. We can? No questions? Oh yes, you won't be. Thank you. Yes.
You've been denied that opportunity.
Is it correct that you were replaced as Susan Wonchuk's private assistant?
Yes.
Could you state the reason for so?
Because we had our conflicting ideologies, and I was not complying with the brutal policies which she came up with, and hence she appointed a relative of hers who could comply with her conditions.
So there was a conflicting ideology, correct?
Yes.
So did you do anything to decrease the same?
Decrease what?
Due to the conflicting ideologies, did you retaliate in any manner to Susan Wonchuk?
No.
No. You stated that Susan Wonchuk and Andre Bullion shared a common hatred. How can you say so?
Because Susan Wonchuk was a protege of Andre Bullion.
Indeed.
And she idolized her, and they worked. See, Andre Bullion was the owner of the prison facilities, and Susan Wonchuk was the one to have administered all the 5 prisons.
How can you say that Susan Wonchuk administered all 5 prisons?
Did.
How can you say that? Did she administer, or did she order in relation to all the 5 prisons in front of you?
Yes, she sent me the mails regarding the policies of regarding the prison policies.
And could you state the 5 prisons for the record, please?
Hatir, Vastil, Panopticon, Tefleka, and Blue Gate.
Could you please tell me where Blue Gate and Hatir were located?
Hatir is in Hatir and Vastil are in Hambridge, and the other 3 are in Eastern Slade.
Okay. And you heard Susan Wonchuk order in relation to the prisons in front of you, is that correct?
Can you repeat the question?
You heard Susan Wonchuk order in relation to the prisons in front of you?
Yes.
What orders did she pass on?
See, basically she passed orders regarding the working hours in the email also, plus how the prisoners should be punished if they do not comply with the instructions given by her.
Which instructions were they?
If they do not work for almost 62 hours a week.
62 hours a week?
Yes.
Okay. In your testimony, you've claimed that it's 50 hours a week? In your written testimony? So, is it 62 hours a week or 50 hours a week?
It's 62 hours.
62 hours. Excellency, may make note.
Just give us a moment. What is his name? Ashwin.
How is he?
So wait 1 minute. Now we have victim didn't. So this is okay.
So
that's examination in chief and cross examination completed. Here now examination in chief and cross examination completed. Right. Okay. You bring the third witness from the prosecution. 6. And we want the name of that boy, yeah? The counsel who will prosecution. Each time they better do it, because otherwise it's confusing. Yeah. I mean, as are you prosecution? We can put. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
Your Excellencies.
Can we just pause for a moment? And could you help us by giving us your name, please, again?
May I begin? Yeah. Your Excellencies, I'm Speaker 1, appearing on behalf of Counsel for Prosecution.
Thank you.
With Your Excellencies' permission, I would like to invite prosecution witness 6 to the stand.
Yes.
Good afternoon, prosecution witness 6. Could you tell the court what was your occupation?
I was a prison guard in prison 2110-1993.
And for how long were you a guard at the said prison?
I was there for 10 months.
About 10 months. And whose orders did you obey at the said prison?
We used to follow our superiors' orders with regard to anything that we did in the prison.
And what kind of orders did the superiors give you?
There were orders with respect to the punishments which will be given to the prisoners and how they are to be treated in case they don't follow the rules.
So the punishments were inflicted only on the orders of the superiors?
Yes.
Did you punish any prisoners?
We punished prisoners only those who did not follow the order, who did not follow the rules.
Could you describe the condition of the prisoners?
The prisoners were in a really bad condition. They were broken and retarded by the time they came to our prison.
What do you mean by...
Bloated in the sense of being overfed or being due to some condition of health?
They were basically in a state of starvation by the time they came due to the fact that they were previously on floating prisons.
Could you elaborate on the term used by you, broken and retarded?
By broken and retarded, I mean that they were subjected to such atrocities on the ships where they were there previously that there were instances where some people had severed limbs, some had became insane, some had lost their insanity. So that's what I mean by broken and.
Well, when you say retarded, do you have any medical examination done for them?
Sorry, Your Excellency, can you repeat?
Any medical opinion which you've obtained regard to those prisoners who you say were mentally retarded?
No, Your Excellency. But due to the fact that they couldn't form rational judgments and their actions couldn't be
based on their actions and reactions, that you come to the conclusion that they were mentally retarded.
Yes.
All right.
How would you describe we've talked about you by now. How would you describe your fellow prison guards?
There were certain instances, usually we used to only inflict punishments or whenever the prisoners broke rules. However, there were certain instances where just for the purpose of entertainment, my fellow inmates would punish the prisoners, like shove their heads in water buckets, for instance.
That would be all.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm afraid you have to wait a little longer.
We may have sometimes witnesses absconding.
Indeed, yes. Your Excellency, this is speaker number 2. With the court's permission, counsel, I proceed with the cross-examination. Could you please state the prison's name for the record, please?
Sorry, can you?
Could you please state the prison's name of which you were a guard for the record, please?
2-1.
The name, please.
The prison number, I know the prison number to be 2-1, that's how it was
You don't know,
called.
you're unaware of the prison's name.
That's how the prison was named.
So all prisons were
The
named.
prison number
So
was.
were prisons named numerically, or were they assigned a name?
That's how the prison I was under was numerically.
So it did not have a name per se. It only had a number
That's
attached
how. Yes.
to it. And when were individuals subjected to punishment?
Whenever they broke rules, or in certain instances, whenever my fellow prison guards thought that.
And which rules are you referring
Please allow the witness to answer the question in full before answering your next question, please.
Apologies, Excellency. Which rules are you referring to?
Rules such as whether if they don't work for a certain number of hours, they were not to be given meals, and punishments with reference to corporal punishment.
And what do the punishments constitute of?
punishments like corporal punishment, hitting the prisoners for not working for a certain number of hours or large number of hours.
And who did these orders emanate from?
My superiors.
Could you define your superiors, please?
For instance, my superior with regard to the prison guard would be, I believe, the circuit in charge.
Your superior is the circuit in charge. And
who was working?
So all apologies. So all guards fell within the purview of the circuit in charge's command. Is that correct?
Yeah. All orders emanating from him were
the
followed
circuit
by
in
us.
charge. Thank you, Excellency.
Give me a stand. Thank you. Thank you. Whom would we call next? 7? Yes.
I'm speaker 1 for...
Where's the witness?
I'm speaker 1.
The next witness, please.
Yeah.
Witness. Number 7.
Yep.
Are you witness number 7?
Yes, sir.
Your Excellencies, I'm speaker 1 for counsel. May I begin examining the witness?
Please.
Could you give us a brief introduction of yourself, witness 7?
My name is Captain Phillips. I was the captain of SS Wrangler for 10 years. I am about 45 years old, and I would like not to disclose my nationality for some reasons. Thank you, sir.
For how long have you been the captain of Scrambler?
Well, what was the last sentence you said?
I would prefer not disclosing my nationality.
Not to?
Disclose my nationality, sir.
Nationality.
Your Excellency, the witness may be granted this under the
You
rules of
want to
procedure.
treat him as hostile, or what is it? He's your witness?
Yes, yes, Your Excellency.
All right. He's
For this-
permitted not to
Yes, Your
disclose his
Excellency,
nationality.
For the sake of protection of the witness, under the rules of...
All right, allowed.
For how long had you been the captain of Scrambler?
10 years.
Could you tell the court what did the Scrambler often transport?
We usually transported metal. Any person who used to charter our vessel from one country to another. It was metal and other things as well, depending on the requirements.
On the day of the incident in December 2012, what did the ship transport?
We were transporting, I'm not very certain about what was there, not about everything, but most of it was like IKEA products, some computer processors, some aluminium foils, and so on.
Your Excellencies, I would like to point out that the list of what exactly the ship was carrying has been submitted to the International Criminal Court.
IKEA doesn't manufacture ammunition.
No, sir.
Does IKEA manufacture ammunition?
Not, I'm not aware of that,
Not
sir,
your
but no,
knowledge.
sir.
Your Excellency, who hijacked your ship?
What I saw was this. We got an intercept at about 3 a.m. at night from a military vessel to stop, and they demanded inspection. According to our rules of procedures, we allowed them to get on board. There were about 20 to 30 armed guards. They asked me to come down from bridge and stand on the side of the vessel. What I saw was a military vessel which had which had the name of Eastern Slade Navy, and I assume that it was the Navy of Eastern Slade which hijacked my vessel that day.
What did they do after hijacking your ship?
Can I just stop for a moment? You said they asked you to, they pulled alongside and boarded your vessel.
Yes.
You didn't see anything offensive in that?
Since according to our rules, we are asked to cooperate with any authorities which ask us to cooperate, so it was normal for us.
I may be allowed to continue.
One more minute.
One more minute. Were they looking for anything in particular?
Well, they were looking for weapons. They said, where are the weapons, where are the weapons? But
could you tell us what was the nationality of your crew?
Well, my crew had a lot of people from different nationalities, but majority of them were from the Crossfordian.
And at any point of time, did your hijackers come to know of this information?
Yes, they did. They went through the passports of each and every person on board, and they segregated passports of Crossfordian nationality and kept the others aside. So, yes.
And what did they do with this information?
Then they lined up everybody. It was the entire group, but specifically the Crossfordians on one side. And we were segregated. So there was segregation. After that, there were instructions to fire, and that is the last thing I remember. I jumped from the ship in order to escape.
One last question. Who gave these said instructions?
What I can recall was they were speaking on satellite phone, and I heard Madam Wonchuk. They were, I think, reporting to Madam Wonchuk, the person who was commanding them.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you. Cross-examination? Oh, that's your witness.
Speaker number 2 from the legal representative on behalf of the victims. PW7, for the sake of clarity, could you say that at the point when the attack took place, was there any military equipment on the ship?
No, not that I know of, ma'am.
From where and to where were you traveling?
So I was on a voyage from Germany to Crossford, but we had to stop at Western Slade as well.
Were there any searches conducted on your ship?
Could you repeat your question, ma'am?
Were there any searches conducted on your ship?
Their guards did search the entire vessel.
The attackers searched your ship. Thank you. Did they try to ascertain whether you were civilians, or did they try to ascertain whether you were civilians?
Our vessel is entirely civilian. It's run by a company. So this is for sure that we were civilians. So the thing which I told was, yes, I was a civilian.
Thank you. Lastly, could you tell whether you said, did at any point in time during the attack, did any of your crew members try to take up arms against the attackers?
No. As per the company rules, we do not have any firearms or any kind of weapon.
The bench may note that all people aboard were civilians, and therefore any attack against them is a violation of Geneva Conventions. Thank you.
So who exactly did you supply your inventory to?
They were random people they're random companies, they're random customers who charter our vessel for transporting one set of goods to others. So there could be several people who would charter our vessel at one point of time too.
And at which time did the attack or hijacking take place?
It was 3 a.m.
3 a.m. And was it dark outside at 3 a.m.?
Yes.
It was dark outside. And how did you determine that you were attacked by Eastern Sladers?
As I clearly said earlier, there was a radio intercept. They said they were the Navy from Eastern Slade. And when the vessel came close to my vessel, I saw the markings, which clearly stated that Eastern Slade Navy.
At 3 a.m., you clearly saw the markings?
Yes, I had searchlights in my hand.
You had what?
We had searchlights as well.
You had searchlights?
In order to demarcate who's on board.
Were you restrained in any manner?
Yes, I was blindfolded initially on gun hold.
You were blindfolded and?
I was blindfolded and asked to stand at that place. There was a person standing next to me with a gun.
And how many individuals were massacred in the ship?
I cannot tell you the exact number, but every person on the vessel was asked to stand, and guns were shot.
For the purpose
how many
of your
survived, I'm not sure.
Please allow the witness to answer the question.
Apologies, Excellency, I thought that you'd finished. For the purpose of your testimony before, in relation to the office of the prosecutor, you've claimed that all individuals were massacred.
Yes, all of them were shot at, certainly, yes.
They were shot. And was this before you were blindfolded or after you were blindfolded?
I was blindfolded. I was asked to stand aside. I was asked to stand with the group, actually.
Okay.
And people were lined up. People were asked to stand together, and the firing squad was lined up, and then there were orders to shoot.
So how could you claim that all individuals were massacred?
I have not heard of anybody after that incident.
It's in your testimony, sir.
Yes, there was every person on the vessel was asked to stand. If you will try to shoot them at point blank range, will they survive? And as per the company reports, the reports which have come back, and most of them I'm relying on the news as well, I hope somebody survives actually.
So
I hope somebody would have survived.
Indeed, but sir, in your statement to the prosecution, you've categorically stated that all individuals aboard were massacred.
Yes, they were.
But right now you just stated that certain individuals were only massacred.
No, everybody was asked to stand.
And
no, he has said he had just hoped that some survived.
Your Excellency previously stated that individuals were segregated and then they were shot. That means that individuals also survived, Your Excellency. In reference to the testimony, he clearly...
So when he says he was blindfolded.
Your Excellency,
he's not sure as to whether everyone was shot dead or some escaped or managed to live.
Your Excellency may refer to the testimony in that reference. The second page of his own testimony, the first question of the prosecution, Your Excellency.
Then you can ask him something specifically on that.
So you were blindfolded along with the other individuals. Is that correct?
I was blindfolded first. I don't know whether others were not.
Okay, so you were blindfolded first, and so after that you could not have witnessed any event.
I was hearing what was happening around.
You were hearing what was happening, and how did you escape?
As soon as I heard the order fire, I was certain they're going to shoot, and I just jumped from my ship.
So you did not see any event actually take place?
Well, I heard gunshots.
You heard gunshots. That'll be all, Your Excellency.
Your Honours, the victims would like to examine victim witness 1. This is counsel, speaker number 1 on behalf of counsel of victims.
Yes.
Thank you.
Your Honours, may I begin? VW1, could you briefly introduce yourself with your educational qualifications?
Okay, so I'm consultant and advisor to the standing committee. I've done my bachelor's in economics and my master's in international law, and that's it.
Thank you. What was your role in the standing committee?
I was a consultant to the standing committee.
Could you explain what the committee did?
So basically, committee was in charge of to carry the investigation for the whatever happened during the years of the war, like everything. They had to cover the events, whatever happened in the war.
Thank you. And how did the committee research on this point?
So committee was established, and it had professionals from the medical from ranging from every aspect: financial advisors, economists, medical examiners, people from police forces and defense forces across the nations, and they carried on their thorough investigation for the events of the war.
Thank you. Could you tell the chamber a little bit about how economies are affected during war?
So before the war,
Your Honours, the Council seeks to establish the general state of an economy during war because there are particular economic related submissions made by this witness. Page number 43 of the compromise what the Council is relying on.
Yes, but is the witness an expert on the state of economies during armed conflict?
Indeed, Your Honours. Your Honours, the Council is seeking a clarification from the witness as to the general state or the general principles regarding the economy of a country which is involved in an armed conflict.
But is she internationally recognized expert?
Indeed not, Your Honours. However, since she's studied economics as well as been appointed on the standing committee for this purpose, the Council submits that the witness may have sufficient knowledge in this regard.
Has she published any material divulging her expertise? Has she a PhD on the issue?
Your Honours...
we'll give you 2 more minutes.
Indeed, Your Honours. The Council will lead to other submissions instead of this.
So what we wanted to know, how does this question really help your cause?
Exactly. Indeed, Your Honours. Your Honours, what the victims are seeking to establish here is that ASCO, which run the prison facility, noted a profit in a time of an armed conflict whereby the rest of the economy of the country was compromised due to the absence of trade occurring because of the war. Therefore, Your Honours, the Council was seeking to establish that this profit occurred due to the labour and the forced labour employed of the victims.
No, especially when you are asking for reparation or for an amount to be awarded as compensation. How does this really relate to it?
Your Honours, the Council was not leading in that direction. The Council was simply seeking to establish that the victims inside the prison were indeed forcefully induced into labour and they were exploited to that effect.
We do not allow you to ask that question.
Your Honours, the Council will ask different questions on this point. Witness, did you interact with the prisoners or the survivors of this?
I did interact with few of the survivors of the war.
Could you tell us what they stated to you?
So basically, there was a lot of torture inflicted upon the survivors, on the prisoners, and the women were imposed with carnal brutality, and they were raped, and they were...
Can I interrupt you for a minute? Are you conscious of the rule of, you know the hearsay rule, don't you?
Your Honours?
The hearsay rule.
Indeed, Your Honours.
The rule against hearsay.
Your Honours, however, it is submitted that there is no provision of the Rome Statute, Rules of Procedure evidence or the elements of crime which bar hearsay evidence.
Right.
Therefore, even hearsay evidence may be judged...
No, that's correct, but the nature of the hearsay, so long as you don't rely on the truth of the statement, you can admit it as evidence. But if you're going to rely on the truth of what she's saying, and unfortunately this witness has no way of verifying the authenticity.
Your Honours, it is humbly submitted that since this is a witness who has prepared a report before the standing committee, the same may not qualify as hearsay evidence because the witness has personally interrogated the victims and is therefore deposing to that effect. Therefore, this testimony may not qualify as hearsay, Your Honours. May the Council...
That's your submission.
Indeed, Your Honours. May the Council complete his questions in probably 3 further questions. Okay. Did you personally inspect any of the prison facilities?
I went across a few of the prisons, and what I found was there were blood stains on the wall and broken teeth in the cells, and there was a general pattern of such stains found over the prisons, which could be basically the brutality was on the walls of the prisons.
Do you photographic evidence of what you've observed?
I think you've
pardon me.
taken your time.
That would be Your Honor.
That's good now. One more.
Could you tell us about the other general conditions which you deciphered from your interviews as well as inspection?
I'd like to interrupt you because I asked the witness a question.
My apologies, Your Excellency, that was not with me.
Do you have photographic evidence of what you observed?
My team did a thorough research, and the reports prepared by standing committee stands as evidence for the brutality inflicted upon the prisoners.
So you have no photographic evidence?
All the records are in front of the court itself, and the report has been submitted with thorough inspection done.
Okay, thank you.
So your position is, you've come to a conclusion, haven't you?
To a conclusion that there was torture and brutality inflicted upon the prisoners, and the deaths were in thousands, which can be an evidence to prove the same.
But you've no forensic evidence to back up that report?
The records of the death totally inflicted upon the prisoners, there were post-mortem reports which showed that there were injuries and impact of blunt instruments on the dead bodies of the prisoners. So around 50,000 prisoners died because of the blunt injuries and impact of the same, injuries caused by blunt instruments and the impact of the same. So, which can be as an evidence, used as evidence for the torture and brutality.
Okay, thank you, witness.
Could the bench permit one last question?
You've now taken a lot of time.
All right, Your Excellency. The council concludes by saying that the credibility of the standing committee report is before the chamber and the council.
You are examining the witness in chief and not making submission.
Indeed, Your Honor, much obliged.
Yeah. But
can the council proceed?
You want to cross-examine?
Indeed, yes.
You had to wait.
Your Excellency, if I'm not mistaken, the prosecution cross-examine the victim witness before the council.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you.
The wrong witness was examined, was it?
No, that's not the case, Your Excellency. The counsel for prosecution cross-examines
All
the
right,
victim
all right.
before the...
All right.
Proceed.
See, the problem when you have two bites at the cherry, they say.
So strike out all that was recorded, or? No. All right.
Your Excellencies, I'm speaker too, but for the sake of clarification, I would like to ask if during cross-examination, counsel could be allowed to ask leading questions.
Leading questions?
Leading questions during cross-examination.
No.
No.
He or she is not permitted to ask leading questions.
May I begin, Your Excellency?
Yes.
What was the nationality of majority of the prisoners that have died in the prison that you have reviewed?
It was cross-border nationality.
Okay. And how many people would you say died at the end of the war?
They were in thousands. In totality, there were 1,87,000 prisoners who had died after the war.
Okay. And what were the different reasons for the deaths of these prisoners?
So around 20,000 were taken because of the starvation and poor hygienic conditions of the prisons. 50,000 of them died because of plague. I'm so sorry, because of plague. 50,000 of the prisoners died because of impact of injuries caused due to blunt instruments. And around 400.
Are you a tutored witness?
So apologies, Your Excellency.
You know, you got to be careful when you give these answers, because you are saying it as if though you were first hand. You're not a medical witness, neither are you a scientist. You collected data and you're presenting that data. So all I'm saying is, when you say these things, you can say the records show. Then we know that you're not speaking from your own personal knowledge. You're speaking from a record. So the records bear out the fact that so many died. That's all you can say, nothing beyond.
Your Excellency, the committee has submitted the report and it's before the court, and these records are given in the report itself. I myself have perused them, so it's based on the data.
You know, it would have been easier if you produce the report and mark it as an annexure, and we would have probably admitted it. So that's another matter. I'm simply saying that when you're presenting it, bear in mind the fact that she's actually giving us some data which is available in her records, right?
Do the records show that any prisoners died because of bullet wounds?
Indeed, they did.
How many prisoners died because of bullet wounds?
Around 40,000, as per the report.
And what were the conditions in the prison? What do the records say?
As I already stated and as given in the report, there were very poor conditions. There were blood stains all over the walls, and there were poor hygienic conditions and poor sanitation. Broken teeth were found in the cells, and the hygiene and maintenance was very poor of the prisons.
You said that people had died because of the plague. Would you suggest, do the records suggest that there were unsanitary conditions such as rats and mosquitoes?
Indeed, as per the records, rats, bedbugs and mosquitoes were found in large number in the prisons.
Okay, so would the records also suggest, do the records speak about what the amount of money put into the upkeep of the prisons?
As per the expenditure, only $14.5 million were expended on the prison total expenditure, out of what only $2 million was spent on the maintenance and hygiene of the prison.
So in spite of the money spent on the maintenance, the records show that this in spite of the money spent on the sanitation, the records show that there were mosquitoes and bedbugs and rats in the prison facilities.
There was a meager amount spent, that was $2 million on the sanitation of the prison.
No more questions, Your Excellency.
That's all?
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Could you tell me the constitution of the prison population, of the prisons, of all the prisons?
As in the number of prisons?
No, the constitution of the prison population.
There were around 285,000 prisoners imprisoned.
And how many were of cross-border nationality?
Around 250,000 prisoners were.
And how many prisoners died?
As already stated in the records, it's 187,000.
And how many of these were cross-border?
The records have specified how many of these were of what nationalities, and
could you please state the same for the record of the court?
The number was in thousands, as I've already stated. The records are before the court.
So that she may not be able to, because when thousands have died, that is not part of the record. Is it part of the record?
Your Excellency, the record is in front of the court, and the record states out of what reasons the prisoners have died.
Yes, the council's question was, out of 187,000 prisoners, how many were cross-bordians? It's not in relation to...
If it is part of the record, you may say so. Otherwise, you can say you don't know.
The record says what were the reasons, and the fact that there were 250,000 prisoners out of 285,000 who were cross-bordians, and 170,000 died after they were imprisoned after the war. So the records can be shown that they were in thousands.
Okay. And you collected data. So all of this was an accumulation of data?
The standing committee has accumulated the data, and I've only perused, and I was a consultant to the standing committee.
And did you verify the data that you collected?
As I've already given, the committee was comprised of professionals, and they have done a thorough investigation before collecting such data.
So did you verify the data? You collected the data?
Indeed, I did go through the entire data. I was the consultant and the advisor for the standing committee. I have myself personally seen all the data, and it's verified.
Okay, that'll be all, yes.
Thank you, witness. Have a safe trip home.
Witness, could you briefly introduce yourself for the benefit of the chamber?
I'm a 43-year-old admiral of the Western Slave Military.
Can you describe to the chamber what happened on your ship ONS Wraith?
On the 5th of November at night, around 6 boats filled with Easterners, they sneaked aboard my ship and they sabotaged our communications array, following which a mothership was also present there, which was from Hambridge, and with the help of that mothership, my ship was captured and all my crewmen were taken over. We were basically taken over.
How could you establish Or how can you be sure that the people who took over your ship were Eastern Sladers?
Well, once they were on the boat, I could see their uniform. I could recognize it.
Can you tell us which prison facility you were taken to?
Excuse me?
In your statement, you say that you were taken to a prison facility. Can you tell us which prison facility?
I do not know which prison facility. It was not told to me.
Alright. You say that you kept repeatedly trying to bring to their knowledge Geneva Conventions. Can you elaborate on this?
Well, as an admiral, I know that during times of war, you have to treat prisoners of war with certain dignity, and you cannot treat them based on any discrimination of their race or from where they come from, and you have to afford them certain medical treatments, and I didn't see any of that happening.
So could you tell us how you were all treated in the prisons?
The conditions in the prisons were quite bad. We were put to work for long hours, and I saw many people getting tortured by brutal methods, including waterboarding and electrocution. And I myself was beaten at many times.
Did they ever waterboard or electrocute you personally?
No, they did not.
Are you personally aware of the existence, or have you ever witnessed the carrying out of waterboarding and electrocution?
Yes, I have.
What happened to the personal belongings of some of the prisoners of war that were taken in?
They were all taken by the Eastern Sladers.
How are you able to, how do you know this?
In particular, to point out an example, my cellmate, he was a trader from...
You'll have one more minute.
Yeah. He was a trader from the Balkans, and his ship, which he had spent his entire fortune on, was taken by Eastern Sladers, and this Susan Wonchuk had given that ship to Andre Bouillon, gifted that ship to Andre Bouillon.
All this happened in front of you?
Yeah, one day this Susan Wonchuk had visited ourselves and taunted my cellmate about what she had done with his ship.
Alright, one last question. What did they do to you when you reminded them of the provisions of the Geneva Conventions?
When I resisted, they beat my men. They beat my crewmen. Yes.
Right. No further questions, Your Honors.
You can proceed, yes.
Speaker 2 from the prosecution. So you, in your statement, you've said the next few days have been disastrous for us. And you've said this after your ship had been turned into a prison facility. Can you please describe the situation?
Well, this is particularly in reference to an incident which happened wherein some of my crewmen were taken out and their heads were put next to the cannons which were on my ship. And those cannons were fired, based on which the recoil ended up killing my crewmen. Now this kind of treatment happening in front of me, my crewmen were being killed. I think that constitutes as being disastrous.
And how were you treated? Were you treated better on the prison facilities on land, on your ship?
Since in both I was not treated very well, but in the prison I was treated worse.
Would you say this is how prisoners of war are supposed to be treated?
Pardon?
Would you say that the treatment given to you is how prisoners of war are supposed to be treated?
No, not at all.
Why would you say so?
Because if I am, first of all, because if I am telling them a certain thing like to follow the Geneva Conventions, they have beaten my men for that. Now that kind of conduct, and furthermore they beat me also for stating the same, and the kind of conduct I saw around, that is not how you treat prisoners of war.
Just to confirm, you were, you and your men and your women were beaten when you told them about your rights under the Geneva Convention?
I personally was not beaten, but my men were beaten.
That's all.
Thank you.
So, is it correct that your ship was hijacked by Eastern Sladers?
Yes.
And which country did the mothership come from?
Hambridge.
How can you be so sure?
Because I have seen that ship being used by the Hambridge Navy before the war.
And how could you ascertain that you were attacked by Eastern Sladers?
I saw their uniform.
Could you describe the same, please?
Green with white stripes.
Okay. And what was the condition that you were subjected to in your floating prison?
In the floating prison, we were all kept in certain parts. I personally was kept in the weapons room. And as I had stated before, the incident with the cannons happened. Furthermore, we weren't allowed to move anywhere. We weren't allowed to contact anyone. We weren't allowed to do anything. We were just, we were prisoners. We were stuck.
Did you overhear anybody passing any orders?
Yes, after the ship was just after the ship was captured, one of the men had a satellite phone and he contacted his superior and he was receiving some orders, although I could not hear them.
So how can you be so sure that he was in contact with the superior?
Because he was continuously referring, he was saying okay, okay, and those kind of accents are usually used when you're contacting a superior.
And from the same you're certain that he was in contact with the superior?
Yes.
And from the same you are certain that he also received orders from his superior?
Yes, I'm sure.
That'll be all, yes.
Now that brings... We'll take a short adjournment.
So the court rises. We'll have a break of 10 minutes. Resume the hearing after 10 minutes.
Can you, for the purposes of this trial, please state your occupation?
I'm Susan Manji, and I'm the Minister of Defense for the state of Eastern Slate.
Can you comment on your relationship with Andre Bouillon?
Andre Bouillon, the Chief Minister of Cambridge, you mean? He was my political godfather. His nationalist views and economic policies have a lot inspired me, and my political career depends on him.
No wonder you look very sad.
I'm not sad, Your Lordship. I'm happy to be present in this great venue.
I might also warn you that you don't have to give answers that might incriminate you.
Okay.
You got to be careful in what you're saying.
Yes, Lordship.
And,
further action may be taken against you. Yes.
What can you tell us about your role in administering the prisons?
I didn't have any direct control over the ASCO prisons, but since I was the defense minister, I used to give them orders to preserve humanitarian measures within the prisons.
Okay. So, in your official capacity of ASCO, did you issue any orders?
I gave them orders stating that there should be equal opportunity to all prisoners within the prison, whether it be the prisoners of war, whether it be the prisoners from Eastern Slate, that they should be given equal opportunities to earn. They should be given minimum 5 hours of work a day, and they should be given proper medical facilities and also recreational facilities. I had also given them equal chances for subsidized rate of food. My Lord had said, let them stone Mary Magdalene who hath not sinned in their life. I believe in reformative justice, not retributive.
I think you can refrain from poetic kind of justice also.
I agree. Yeah. That's it, Your Excellency.
That's your examination entry. Can I ask you some questions?
Yes, Excellency.
You run prison for reformation, isn't it?
I don't run the prison, Your Excellency.
What do you do?
I am the defense minister, and as a defense minister of the state, I have some responsibilities towards the prison and the ex-official.
You issue instructions?
Some of the instructions I issue.
And the prison department comes up and you serve you?
Absolutely not. We share the responsibility. It's a private prison, Your Lordship. ASCO.
You run private prison for the government?
I don't run the private prison, Your Lordship. Since I'm the defense minister, and I have certain responsibilities towards the prison, I gave them instructions whenever it's necessary, Your Lordship.
Right.
Yes.
May the counsel proceed?
Yes.
Much obliged. DW1, would you say you take orders from the Chief Minister of Hambridge?
Orders? What orders?
Any orders? Do you take any orders from the Chief Minister of Hambridge?
I don't take orders from the Chief Minister of Hambridge.
You just stated that Andre Bouillon is the Chief Minister of Hambridge, so you don't take any orders from Andre Bouillon.
I don't take orders. I get inspired from him and I take his advices.
So as per Annexure 5, CMC is in the chain of command is your superior. Therefore, the orders flow in that manner. Yes or no?
No.
Could you describe the chain of command in the prison system, please?
I'm a 54-year-old woman. I cannot recollect. So if you can give me the annexure, I'll let you do that.
May the council give...
Yes.
Why don't you get on to the next question until you get your document?
It's okay. Your Honor, Witness, in your deposition you clearly stated that Andre Bouillon had turned himself into someone whose orders she had to obey.
I never
whose
stated.
orders had to be, that is stated in your deposition.
Well, I don't remember it actually.
So, I understand you're an old person and you may not remember, however, that is what is stated. Therefore, you were taking orders from the Chief Minister of Hambridge, that is Andre Bouillon. Yes or no?
I did not take absolute orders from Chief Minister of Hambridge.
Your Honours may notice there is a clear inconsistency between what has been deposed and what the accused is stating right now.
You said he is very old and then he might have forgotten because of that.
However, he has, the accused has deposed the same. Witness, who is the Chief Minister of Hambridge?
Andre Bouillon.
The bench may notice that as per page number 5 of the compromise, Andre Bouillon is not the Chief Minister of Hambridge. Moreover, before the prisons were even set up, Andre Bouillon had resigned from the post. So clearly either the accused has no knowledge of who Andre Bouillon is or does not actually have a boss.
But was the resignation accepted?
It clearly states that he had resigned from that post.
Okay.
Moving on.
Okay.
Much obliged. Witness, would you say that Annexure 1, that is an order issued by you, allowing for torture and waterboarding, is sanctioned by you?
Good Lord, I have never ordered to torture anybody.
Thank you. So you're saying that an order under your official seal is not signed by you. It was given by under the official seal by your signature by your subordinate.
Can you show me my signature in that?
The council requests a fresh copy because the council has written certain statements.
Yours sincerely, Susan Munch.
Sir, if I'm not wrong, I have not signed such a paper. My signature is absent.
Oh, it's signed for Susan Munch.
Indeed, however, it is submitted by his subordinate and therefore and under the seal of the Defense Ministry, which the accused is directly liable for.
This subordinate, he had betrayed me and I have fired him for the same. He has misused my authority. I think he has hacked my mail and...
So, under Annexure 2, you again mentioned the same orders. So, you must be stating that Annexure 2 is also fake.
Of course, it is fake.
Thank you. Could you also...
Counsel, your time is up, but we'll give you 1 more minute.
Much obliged.
So why don't put it to him that he is speaking the untruth?
Counsel, DW1, are you aware of the Geneva Conventions? Yes or no?
Which Geneva Convention?
Any of the Geneva Conventions.
The third Geneva Convention, Article 12. Yes, I have implied those laws in my prisons.
So you do know of the existence of Geneva Convention?
Yes, I do.
And they were applied all through your prisons?
Yes, they were.
So are you aware that electrocution and waterboarding are methods of torture? Yes or no?
Electrocution and waterboarding, yes, are methods of torture, but they are not implied in my prisons.
Thank you so much. There is nothing more.
I just have one little interesting question. You seem to take a lot of interest in the Geneva Convention, isn't it?
I'm not. Yes, you're
Geneva
not.
Conventions appear to be one of your favorite pieces of reading.
No, I don't. I have been informed of the Geneva Convention that I just know that it's regarding the prisoners of war and their kind treatment towards them. That's all, Your Lordship.
So you wanted to make sure that the Geneva Conventions are not that they are complied with the conditions.
My subordinates did make sure it very well.
How did you do that?
I have visited my prisons, my Lordship.
Are there handouts that you've given them as to what the convention is?
I have not taken any handouts of Geneva Convention with me. Sorry.
So how did you make it known to your subordinates as to what?
Oh, Geneva Convention. I had my personal assistant who did all these things for me.
Maybe he's the one, according to you, signed this letter on your behalf?
Yes, Your Lordship.
Have you taken any
He has
action against
betrayed
him?
me.
Have you taken any action against him?
I have initiated an investigation against him, Your Lordship.
All right. Yes.
I am speaker 1 from prosecution. Ms. Vanchuk, while the defense counsel was...
Could you speak up, please? Could you speak louder, please?
Yes, Your Excellency. Ms. Vanchuk, am I right in saying when the defense counsel examined you, you have said that you shared responsibility?
No, I did not.
Your Excellency, it may be noted that these were the precise words which have been used by the defense counsel, by the defendant. You also say that...
Did he say those words earlier in his testimony?
Yes, Your Excellency.
Okay, well that record will be reflected in the transcript.
Shared responsibility.
Shared responsibility. And you also say that you are not aware of the chain of command.
Yeah, I am aware of the chain of command.
You are aware of the chain of command.
Yes, but...
Previously you stated that you are not aware of the chain of command. Now you are retracting your statement.
Oh, you mean the ASCO prison facility chain of command?
Yes.
Okay, that was a parallel chain of command which runs. So here I had the defense ministry and there was a private organization which ran the prison.
So you know both the chains of command very well, but you still declined, but you still lied before this court, did you?
I'm sorry, did I?
Did you lie before this court?
Oh no, good Jesus, I'd never lied before this court of justice. I might have made a mistake. I don't lie. I never lied.
What is your nationality?
I'm an Eastern Slater.
You are an Eastern Slater. And what religion do you follow?
Christianity.
And what religion do Western Slaters follow?
Christianity.
You say you cannot recollect who you gave orders to and who you received orders from because of your old age.
I did not give any torture orders, that's what I meant.
You said you are a 54-year-old woman who cannot say for sure who you received orders from and who you gave orders to.
Your question has my answer. If I cannot remember, how will I recollect it now?
So you concede to my statement, do you?
Look, hold on. You answer the court, not counsel.
Okay.
If you answer us, he will ask questions and you answer us.
Okay, Your Lordship.
If you would face us, that may be better.
Sorry, Your Lordship. It's the first time in a court.
If you could face their excellencies.
This is your second time. No, you will
So you concede to my statement?
I never gave any torture orders.
That was not my question.
What was your question?
You cannot recollect who gave you orders and who you gave orders to.
Yeah, I recollect who I gave orders to. I gave orders to my subordinates.
So you lied before this court a while ago.
I did not lie.
Your Excellencies may note that he refused to acknowledge any chain of command due to his old age.
Noted, noted.
Most certainly, Your Excellency. You also said that you have visited your prisons.
Yes.
So you accept that they are your prisons and you have a certain amount of control over them.
I am the minister of the country, and any prison under the country's ministry is, any prison within the country.
But aren't the prisons privatized?
But the prison facility is, though it's privatized, the judiciary sends the criminals to the prisons, and the judiciary is the states, and I am a minister of the states, and hence I said it's my prison.
Also, you said you have not signed Annexure 1.
I have not signed.
But when Your Excellencies posed a question to you whether your PA has falsely signed it, you accepted the fact that he had signed it.
I never said he has signed it. I stated that he might have drafted it for me, but I never did it.
Your Excellencies, that's not what he said.
That's also noted.
Ms. Sando. What?
Most interesting.
Excuse me. What was his name? Yeah.
Speaker 1 for the defense would like to call defendant witness 2 before the court.
Yes. The witness
2.
Yes, you may proceed.
Can you please state your occupation for the purpose of this trial?
I am midshipman of the Navy in Eastern Slate, and I am a lower ranking officer in the Navy.
You're a lower ranking officer. Okay, do you know anything about a ship called Scrambler?
Yes, so there was some day in the night, basically at 2 o'clock, there was one ship that was coming from Western Slate at a very fast pace. It was coming towards Eastern Slate, our country, and we intercepted it. And I saw some torpedoes put in there, and they were kept in the second level of the So there were some torpedoes which were kept at the second level of the ship in the restricted area.
Okay. So did you have any orders to stop such ships from anyone?
My boss did have some orders. I overheard him getting orders from our superior.
Okay. Who was the superior in concern here?
She was Miss Suzanne Wonshuk, our defense minister.
You overheard your boss and Susan Wonshuk talk?
Yes.
Okay. Can you please elaborate for the court that very
so Miss Suzanne Wonshuk was talking to my boss through a satellite phone, where I heard her saying that any ship containing weapons should be taken care of.
How do you know that it was specifically Susan Wonshuk?
Susan Wonshuk is a popular leader in my country, and I can identify her voice. Plus, our boss was addressing her as Miss Wonshuk, Madam Wonshuk.
Okay. And further, did you happen to search the ships?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you find anything?
Yes, so we found some torpedoes kept in the ship.
You found torpedoes?
Yes.
What are torpedoes? Could you explain to the court?
So, in a simple language, if I say, a torpedo is a self-propelled weapon. We can say an underwater missile which contains some explosives. So it blasts when it comes in contact with the target.
No more questions, that is all. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
May the counsel be allowed to cross-examine the witness?
Yes.
Much obliged. This is speaker number 2 on behalf of the legal representative of the victims. DW2, could you describe in detail the process that you were supposed to follow when you found any military equipment?
Yes, so what we were supposed to do was to seize the ship and take the ship to the shore from where the prisoners were taken by some other military people.
Could you tell me what you were supposed to do with the military equipment?
We were supposed to hand over it to the people who were waiting for us on the shore.
Essentially seize the...
Yes,
Thank
indeed.
you. How many torpedoes did you find on board Scrambler?
There were some 70 torpedoes.
70.
Yeah, 70.
Thank you. Did you find any other military equipment?
No.
So, why did you board this particular ship?
So because it was coming at a very fast pace, so it created some suspicion. And when we intercepted the entire wave, so we got to know that it's coming from the western slade, and that is why we intercepted it.
Because it was coming from the western slade, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So it was a war time, so we were vigilant.
Thank you. Who is your direct superior?
My next superior is my boss.
Could you name him, please? Like by rank.
Next superior means higher
Your
or
direct
lower?
superior, not next superior. That's right.
His name is Mr. Frederick.
Could you refer to him by his rank?
No. We call him by Mr. Frederick.
Is he even a military personnel?
Yes.
Okay. Who does he command to?
He commands to all the... He's a crew captain.
He commands to a crew captain, or he is a crew captain?
He is the crew captain.
Who does he receive orders from?
So on that day he took orders from Miss Suzanne von Schuck.
So he takes orders from people as he wishes?
So either Miss Suzanne von Schuck or her authority.
Okay, so Miss Susan Vanchuk on that particular day.
Yeah.
You deposed just 2 minutes back that the regular procedure meant you were supposed to seize the torpedoes, and you found torpedoes. However, before this court, there is no evidence of any seized torpedoes. Where were the torpedoes?
We handed over it to the people waiting for us on the shore.
So
Rest I don't know.
So there should be an evidence of existing torpedoes, right?
That I don't know, because I handed it over to the
The
military.
bench may note the victim has witnesses clearly deposed that there are no torpedoes available for the court to adjudicate upon. So did you ever disobey orders?
No.
Why?
Because they are our authority. We are supposed to follow their orders.
But why would you never disobey the orders? What was the rationale behind it?
See, because they are the people who take the necessary directions, and as a person in Navy, I am supposed to follow the orders given to us by the superiors.
So in a Navy, who generally... May the council just finish the submission?
One moment.
Much obliged. So in the Navy, who commands the war? Could you explain to the court?
I don't know.
You as a Navy personnel don't know who your commander is, do not understand who your commander is receiving commands from. One day it's Susan Vanchuk and some other day it's somebody else.
So there are many people who orders a particular captain, right?
So you're saying that in a military war commanded by Susan Vanchuk, are you accepting that fact? Yes or no?
No.
Counsel, can the court know what is the direction of this questioning?
Indeed.
What is that you want to elicit from him?
Indeed. The reason why the council is asking as to who the commander is or where the command is flowing from is to establish that clearly that orders were given by Susan Vanchuk for all military purposes, including this, and the fact that there were no torpedoes found is an inconsistency.
All right.
So would you say that in a war, between an international armed conflict, the commands were not coming from the defense minister? Yes or no?
Some of the commands were coming from the defense minister, some were not.
Thank you. No further questions.
Yes.
Begin, Your Excellency.
Yes.
You've stated before that you heard your superior talk to Miss Susan Vanchuk. Am I correct?
Yes.
Over a satellite phone?
Yes.
Could you describe to the court what a satellite phone looks like?
A satellite phone looks like a walkie-talkie. It's a small phone. It was grey in color.
Okay.
Not like a torpedo.
Most certainly, Your Excellency.
You
Do you
would have added
also
that.
understand? Do you also understand that a satellite phone does not have a speakerphone function?
It does have it.
It does not have your...
So, so our country has developed a technology.
Just put it to him. Put it to him that he doesn't know what he's talking about. And that is right.
Your country is more advanced than the most advanced countries of the world. A country which no one has heard of, Western Slate, is more advanced than every other technology.
Maybe other countries have not paid attention towards it.
Very well, thank you, thank you. That would be all, Your Excellencies. I would like...
I think so too.
You can suggest to him. You can say, I put it to you that you are not speaking the truth. Put it to you.
I put it to you that you have not actually overheard any conversation because a satellite phone does not have a speakerphone function.
I disagree with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Witness. Have a safe trip home.
Wait. Stand here.
Let's call the next one.
Speaker 1 for the defense would like to call upon defendant witness 6.
Yes. Start questioning.
Can you, for the purposes of this trial, state your occupation?
I'm a civil engineer, 45 years old, and I was appointed as a chief engineer at ASCO Prison.
Okay. Chief engineer. Do you in any way know Andre Bouillon?
Yeah, Andre Bouillon is my family friend.
Okay. So, in your time as chief engineer, do you happen to visit the prisons of ASCO prison facilities?
Yeah, because I was a chief engineer, so so Andre Bouillon and you used to walk around and see the prison facilities.
Only you and Andre Bouillon used to walk around and see
No,
the prison
many
facilities?
times Suzanne Wonchuk would also accompany us.
Okay. So how often did you visit these prisons?
I used to go. I used to visit for 2 hours once a month.
Okay. And do you used to meet Bouillon every month whenever you used to go?
Yeah, every time.
Okay. Only Bouillon and Wangchuk?
And sometimes Wonchuk.
Okay. So, since you used to go to the prisons, can you describe the conditions of the inmates of the prison?
After my regular observations, I saw that there were little defects and damages like defective heating system, defective mattresses, there were absence of proper fittings on the bed. So I immediately ordered my technicians to to do the necessary repairs.
Okay. So, and what was the condition of the prisoners? Did you happen to notice anything?
Yeah,
about the
prison
prisoners?
never subjected the prisoners to work more than 5 hours a day. Even there were multiple canteens which were selling the food at a very subsidized rate. So yeah, their condition was good.
Okay. Lastly, can you comment upon the leadership of ASTCO?
According to my point of view, I saw that the real command, as far as prison conditions were concerned, all the powers were vested in Andre Bouillon.
Let us again remind the witness, you address the court.
Yeah.
When you answer, the question will be posed to you by the counsel. You look at the court and answer.
Okay.
And you were related to Bouillon by?
Can you repeat?
And how did you happen to know Bouillon last?
Andre Bouillon was my family member, so because he was a family member, so I knew him before that only.
That's it, Your Excellency. No more questions.
Yes.
May I begin?
Yes.
Witness 6, for the sake of clarity, could you tell the court, was he a family friend or a family member? Because the two are clearly distinct terms.
Family friend.
You do not confuse a family member with a family friend. My brother does not become my friend.
He was my family friend.
Very well. How often did Susan accompany you to these visits?
Many times. Like, I didn't count the number, so I can just say that many times she used to accompany us.
Can I put it to you that she used to almost always accompany you?
Not always, but most of the time.
Could you give us an approximate idea, like in percentage maybe?
I don't remember exactly. So, like I told you, like many times. So, like, yeah, most of the time she used to come to us.
Most of the time she used to come. Could you also tell us about the new block that was being built which blocked light out? How would the prisoners survive here when there was no lighting?
Yeah, before coming, when I observed that, yeah, it was a little shabby because the light didn't come inside the cells. But I had sent my technicians to repair those. So
if there were no lights, what would your technicians repair?
Counsel, one moment. How does this lead to the damages caused to the prisoners? Now, this is the infrastructural facilities you're talking about?
Your Excellency, this would help further our case of the inhuman treatment.
No, due to the prisons were already built, or the prisoners of war, as you call them, were these facilities built only to keep them there, or these prisons were already there? These are not part of the facts.
Your Excellency is probably, since the facts are silent about this, probably witness number 6 could help us out here. Could you tell us when was this prison being built, the new prison which blocked out light?
I don't remember that.
Now put it to her that she is partisan.
If you
that she is partisan, that she is taking Bullion's side because of very close relationship with Bullion. And that's why she's bending over backwards to...
You can tell her that what she is saying is not true, and that it is only to support some particular position of what
I put it to you that you have certain vested interest in giving the testimony you're giving. If you do not give this testimony, you would lose your job as the chief engineer of ATCO. Am I not correct?
No, it was not like that.
Very. Could you tell us something more about this new prison that was being... So you sent your technicians to repair lights which did not exist in the prison?
Not lights. I said that there were little defects and damages, like defective heating system and like...
That would be all. Thank you.
Defective mattresses. So technicians repaired that.
You may stand up.
Okay.
One more. You got one more. Sir.
You can summon the defense witness number 7.
Speaker 1 for the defense calls upon defense witness 7.
You know, just a little, but try and get out the kind of material that would be favorable. Right? And you don't have to, paint the gilded lily, they say, right?
Can you, for the purposes of this trial, state your occupation?
I'm a legal aid worker. I work with the Slade Law Institute.
Okay. So, did you happen to visit any of the prisons of ASCO prison facility?
Actually, I did visit one of the prisons on a national holiday.
Okay, you did. So, what did you notice about that prison facility which you visited on that national holiday?
I found that prison authorities did make aware to the prisoners about the rules which they had to follow by placing placards on in the premises of prison, and they also provided them with books in which the rules were laid down. There was proper and adequate food provided to them, and they all were in very good condition.
So you were there. Did you happen to interact with any of the prisoners?
Actually, I did interact with few prisoners, and
what did they have to say?
They told me that as such there was no unreasonable work timing, there was no unreasonable food limit, and there was as such no mockery of religion or bodily injury.
So not even a single prisoner talked to you about the atrocities that were allegedly inflicted on them?
Not that I remember of.
Okay. So you also happened to see them, the prisoners. So did any of them look like they were malnourished?
They did not. As I said, that there was already adequate food provided to them.
So finally, what do you know about ASCO so much? Like, how do you know about ASCO so much?
Well, I happen to have published a research paper upon the prisons in Astro, and my research paper was based on empirical studies, and on the basis of the research paper I can say.
Where was that paper published?
Sorry?
Where was the paper published?
Ma'am, it was published in the Journal of Law Institute I work for.
Okay.
That is, that is all. No further
Any more
questions.
Is that all?
Sorry.
Where was your father employed?
In Astro, your Lordship.
Is he still in employment?
No, your Lordship.
Right. Yes.
You interacted with a few prisoners, am I correct?
Yes.
And these prisoners were from a particular section, am I correct?
Well, they were from a particular section, yeah.
Particular section of the prison, am I correct?
Yeah, particular section of
Very well.
the prison, but then on what?
How would you describe relations between you and your father?
Like, we had a pleasant relationship.
So I put it to you, you would not do anything to displease him, would you?
Well, if it goes against my ethics, I would.
I put it to
I
you,
would
Defense
displease
Witness 7, that the paper published to you is a mere farce and you have done it only to please your father.
That's not true.
Very well, Your Excellencies. Much obliged.
Yeah. That completes. The closing statement. Who starts? For the victim. That's how it's done. All right. Can you give us the names again? The application by the victim. No, sorry. Last page. Yeah. Closing statement. Yeah. For the prosecution. Yeah. Right. Okay. 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 Right. We can start.
Can, yes, start the closing statements. You'll have you'll have 10 minutes. Yes, you can start.
I'm speaker 2 from prosecution. As mentioned in the opening statement by my co-counsel, the prosecution has successfully managed to examine all the witnesses. Using the witness and evidence that has been brought up during the proceedings, the prosecutor will prove that the accused is guilty of all charges. Before I begin establishing the guilt of the accused, using the witness testimonies, evidence and elementary facts, I would like to draw the court's attention to the fact that the defense witnesses can be completely discredited. Beginning with defense witness 1, she completely refuted and retracted multiple statements during which she had already testified to during examination in chief, and she retracted those statements when she was cross-examined by the prosecutor as well as the victim counsel. She also said that she does not remember that she took any orders or gave any orders to anyone. But then later she retracted that statement as well by saying that she was equally responsible and she gave the orders along with Andre Bouillot. I would also like to draw Your Excellency's attention to the fact that Your Excellency had questioned co-counsel during the opening statement about the percentage of percentage of liability that could be placed on her. If not the absolute liability, now that the accused has herself agreed to the fact that she, along with Andre Bouillot, has given the orders, she can definitely be held liable for giving orders.
I'm not too sure as to whether she did that. She said that in those words. We came quite close to it, but did she really say that she actually takes responsibility in that, say, vicariously even, perhaps? There is no vicarious liability in criminal law, but if I was to use that expression to get across the point that she shared responsibility, I'm not too sure whether she said it in those words.
Yes. You have to point out from which part of the evidence you can elicit that particular point.
During the cross-questioning done by prosecution counsel, she agreed to the fact that initially she said that she did not give any orders. Then she went back and said that she might have given some orders with Andre Bouillot.
But how does that tie in with the law? How does that apply with regard to the Rome Statute?
Counsel is merely drawing the court's attention to how she's retracted various statements that she's made during her testimony.
You might make the point that her evidence was not credible. In other words, she was not credit-worthy.
Yes,
she gave us the kind of impression, you might make the point that she gave the impression that she was not speaking the truth, not the whole truth.
Yes, sir.
That kind of thing. But short of, beyond that, I'm not too sure whether we can fix liability on her.
Yes, Your Excellency. I apologize for the same.
It depends on what more you're going to say.
So develop your argument on those lines. The improbabilities of her story and that kind of thing.
I move on to defense witness 2 and how the same could be discredited.
Yes.
He said he takes orders from Susan Wonchuk, and then he says commands were coming from defense minister, which tallies. Then he clearly pointed out that he was lying about overhearing. Initially, he said that he could overhear the statements, but it was pointed out by my co-counsel that in a satellite phone you can obviously not overhear conversations. So if he said he overheard a conversation, which is obviously not possible in this case, then it is very difficult to credit the. It is very difficult to say that the witness might have been credible about the rest of his statement. Moving on to defense witness 6. The only thing that he's established is that there was no lighting in the prisons after the new block was built. Counsel would like to draw Your Excellency's attention to the fact that if there is no lighting even during the day, imagine it would be difficult to imagine the kind of darkness that would have been there in the prison during the entire day as well as the night, and the atrocities that could have been committed under the darkness.
What is the standard of proof?
I beg your pardon, Your Excellency.
What is the standard of proof?
I don't comprehend.
You know, there are in criminal matters in civil matters we say it's preponderance of evidence. In criminal matters we say it's beyond reasonable doubt.
Yes, sir.
So I'm asking you, in these proceedings, what is the standard of proof?
The prosecutor must prove beyond reasonable doubt about the guilt of the defendant under Article 66 of the Rome Statute.
Exactly. So that, in other words, you have to satisfy us so that we are sure that what you say is proved, right?
Yes, I completely agree with Your Excellency.
So now make some submissions on those lines.
I will move on to it immediately. The accused is guilty of inciting others to commit genocide under Article 6 and Article 25(3)(e) of the Rome Statute. For proving the same, prosecution would like to use Annexure 8, the testimony of prosecutor witness 7, and also to some extent the testimony of victim witness 1. In Annexure 8, which is a voice recording, it is clearly shown that the defendant in the case, that is, the defendant in the case, that is Susan Wonchuk, is on board a ship, and she's giving a speech to a set of soldiers. The exact words that she says is that this has gone on for too long now, and those people must be put out. Those damn Westerners must be put down. Also, in prosecution witness 7. Prosecution witness 7 has clearly established the fact through his testimony that that he had heard one of the men taking direction, one of the hijackers taking directions from a female over a satellite phone. I believe it was the accused because he kept calling her Madam Wonchuk. So, and after which the entire crew of the said ship, the Scrambler, was massacred. So there were mass killings. So it is clearly proven that it was the intention of the defendant to incite others to commit the crime of genocide. Also, unlike the other crimes of encouragement, for liability to accrue from incitement to commit genocide, since incitement in itself is an inchoate crime, there is factual evidence to prove that it was the defendant's intention to incite to provoke others to commit the crime of genocide, and hence she must be held guilty of the same. May I move on to the next charge again, sir? The defendant is criminally responsible for failure to control the actions of a subordinate which amount to crimes against humanity. For proving the same, counsel would like to use the testimonies of prosecution witness 2, prosecution witness 7 again, and the prison guard who was prosecution witness 6. Prosecution witness 2. Prosecution witness 2 has also established that the crew on board the Circumnavigator, which was also a civilian ship, was tortured and raped. Now, the acts of the ATCO officials tantamount to crimes against humanity basically because the material elements have been fulfilled. The conduct was committed as part of a widespread or systematic attack directed against the civilian population. Through prosecution, also the testimonies of prosecution witness 2 and prosecution witness 7, it is very easy to establish the fact that the ships that were attacked were in fact civilian ships, and hence the attack was against civilian ships. Now, the prison guard prosecution witness 6 in his testimony says that the prison guards, the other prison guards in the same prison as him, sometimes tortured the prisoners for their own entertainment purposes. Now, it is according to the chain of command, which is Annexure 5. The prison guards were commanded by the circuit in charges, who in turn were commanded by Susan Wonchuk.
What we may ask you, did you make a statement saying that sometimes the prisoners are tortured for the entertainment of the prison guards?
The testimony of prosecution witness 6 said so during his testimony, Your Excellency.
But that means, how do you fix the liability on somebody who gave the command?
Exactly. So, the defendant in this case is being held criminally responsible for failure to control the actions of her subordinates, which is Article 28B. So she's been held responsible for failure to control the actions of her
So
subordinates.
is it the question of vicarious liability as we had posed earlier?
Yeah. In other words, what the President is asking you is, were the prison guards engaging in a frolic of their own, in contrast to something that came from a chain of command?
And would you, if it had happened, would the vicarious liability be fixed on somebody higher, the higher authority?
As well as that, you haven't established clearly whether the accused had effective control over her subordinates. You also haven't. I'd also like you to demonstrate further how the accused knew or should have known that subordinates had committed or were about to engage the commission of a crime.
Is it your case that the ghost of Vanshuk was heavily present everywhere you actually, when you examine this entire transaction, that the ghost, if I was to use the expression, the ghost of Vanshuk, was present in every one of those scenarios? That's what you're saying.
Mr. President, Your Excellencies, I would like to draw your attention to the testimony again of prosecution witness 6. He has clearly mentioned that Susan Wonchuk visited the prisons. If that was the case, she ought to have known that the prison guards, who she had specifically told to torture the prisoners, only when
You'll get 2 more minutes.
if I could take one.
No, take 2 minutes.
You can have 2 more minutes.
Our time is up.
It would be useful as well for you to elaborate how the accused has failed to prevent and or punish the crimes of her subordinates.
Certainly, Your Excellency. The defendant, being the Minister of Defense of the Eastern Slate, was a superior in various circuit in charges, prison wardens, and was the superior of various circuit in charges, prison wardens, and guards. On several occasions, the orders that amounted to torture were given by her, and on other occasions, she was informed of the actions that were taken by the guards and the soldiers against the civilians. At the time when the scrambler was hijacked by the Eastern Slate Navy, the crew was rounded up and tied to a post. Before killing off all the men in the ship, the soldiers again reported the situation to Susan Wonchuk, who had full knowledge of all the actions that were taking place and that were going to take place on board the scrambler. This makes the accused Susan Wonchuk liable under Article 28B for her failure to exercise control properly over all her subordinates.
You can go to the next point.
Susan Wonchuk is also being held guilty for the charges of war crimes, meaning ordering torture or inhuman treatment, and contributing to the war crime of using starvation as a means of warfare. Moving on to the second part of the, using starvation as a means of warfare first, the defendant is criminally responsible for contributing to the commission of such a crime. Article 25(3)(d)(1) and 2 incorporate the subjective elements of 25(3)(d) mode of liability. The aim of, it must be proved that it was the aim of, may I finish this contention and then move on to my press?
So what have you got to say to the 3 main charges? How would you round it up? Would you say that every one of the charges have been proved beyond doubt, or would you want to let go of a few and pursue one or 2 of them? What would your candid assessment?
I would say that
there are 4 charges.
There are
4 charges.
Sorry, 4 charges.
I would say that she should be held guilty of all 4 charges because all of them have been proved beyond reasonable doubt. May I move on to my press?
1 minute.
One more. Final minute.
Article 25(3)(d).
We won't ask you more questions.
I beg your pardon, Your Excellency.
We won't ask you more questions. Complete it by 1 minute.
I would just like to establish that she contributed to the crime of using the war crime of using starvation as a means of warfare. Article 25(3)(d) suggests that it should be proved beyond reasonable doubt that the aim of furthering the criminal activity or purpose of the group involving the commission of statutory crimes, meaning that meaning that the defendant should have known that it was the intention of the group to commit the war crime of using starvation as a means of warfare, and that her actions helped in furthering the said war crime. Now may counsel move on to the prayer. In the light of issues raised, arguments advanced, and reasons cited, the counsel for prosecution respectfully requests the court to exercise jurisdiction over the case and Miss Susan Wanchuk, adjudge that the defendant is criminally responsible for the crime of genocide under Article 6 and Article 25(3)(e) of the Rome Statute, declare that the defendant is criminally responsible for crimes against
to cut it short. 6
71F 82A2 82B25, and the modes of liability are 25(3)(e), 28B, 25(3)(b, and 25(3)(d. And
that's the final one, the chain of command.
The final one is contributing to a war crime. 25(3)(d) is contributing to a war crime.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Your Excellency.
Can we hear you now? Yes.
You have 5 minutes only. 5 minutes.
Your Honours, noting that the victims do have a paucity of time, the counsel humbly submits that if the bench could peruse the written submissions, the arguments could move on in a quicker manner. The written submissions have been placed before the bench with the yellow cover page. Your Honours, the counsel will start submissions first from the count of war crimes. Your Honours, the counsel is on page number 17.
Try to make full use of your 5 minutes.
Yes.
Yes, Your Honour. Your Honours, it is humbly submitted that since there existed an international armed conflict between Eastern and Western slaves, according to the factual matrix, international humanitarian law, that is the 4 Geneva Conventions, apply in their full force in this region. Your Honours, it is further submitted that through the course of this trial, the prosecution as well as the victims, and more importantly the victims, have established that the directed attack was against civilians. Your Honours, it is submitted that civilians are protected under the 4th Geneva Convention. Your Honours, it is further submitted that the way the civilians were taken to the ASCO prisons had direct nexus to the war. Having established the contextual elements of Article 8 war crimes, I'll quickly submit the actus reus of torture under Article 8(2)(a)(2) as has been submitted by the Council. Your Honours, the same has been segregated and specifically detailed on page number 19 of the written submissions. If Your Honours may peruse paragraph number 2, where the Council submits the various ways severe pain and suffering was inflicted in the prisons. The next paragraph, in which punishments was used as a method of inflicting severe pain and punishment. Your Honours, at this juncture, it may be...
I just want to ask you, there is a paragraph here at page 19.
Indeed, Your Honours.
You have a subhead.
Indeed not, Your Honours. It is the paragraph that starts with Article 19.
Yeah, no, I'm on another matter. Look at page 19.
Indeed, Your Honour. The Council is on page.
Bottom of the page.
Yes,
Victims were tortured for a prohibited purpose.
Yes, Your Honours.
Right, that's correct?
Indeed, Your Honours.
Right.
Your Honours, it is submitted that under Article 8(2)(a)(2), for torture as a crime to have been committed, the severe pain and suffering should have been inflicted for a prohibited purpose. Your Honours, the list of prohibited purposes have been mentioned in the introductory elements of crimes for Article 8.
No, my question to you is, can you torture even for non-prohibited purposes?
Your Honours, in that case, the same would not constitute a crime under Article 8, but would still be punishable as an inhuman treatment which does not require the completion of prohibited purpose.
That comes under your next point, is it?
Indeed, Your Honours, the same has been averred. Your Honours, the prohibited purposes in this case were punishment as well as intimidation, and detailed submissions on this are on page number 20. Your Honours, moving on to the mode of liability in this matter, it has been sufficiently established both by the prosecution as well as the victims that the accused had effective control of the subordinates, especially through the cross-examination, the victim's cross-examination of DW1 as well as the DW who was the midshipman. Your Honor, seeing that there was positive knowledge on behalf of the accused and the fact that she did not she did consciously disregard these crimes, failing to prevent and punish them in future, it is submitted that the accused may be held liable under 28B. Your Honor, moving on to the last charge, that is that of Article 82B25, which is the usage of starvation as well as impediment to relief. Your Honors, it is submitted that starvation may not just be limited to that of scanty availability of food in this matter, but also includes deprivation of essentials to life. Your Honors, it is submitted that blankets and water were things that were not given to the prisoners under the regime of this accused, and therefore the victims have suffered considerably due to this. Your Honors, the manifestations of starvation have also been very clearly laid down on page number 24, where we speak about severe loss of weight on behalf of the victims, as well as at least 20,000, Your Honors may note, at least 20,000 deaths which have occurred solely due to malnutrition. Your Honors, to wind up submissions on the first two charges themselves, as has already been established in the opening statement and the roadmap, Article 6 constitutes genocide, and we have established how we were a protected group in this regard, the 51 victims that we seek to represent, as well as the fact that the genocidal incitement has led to the actual commission of genocide in this matter. Your Honors, completing submissions on crimes against humanity, it may be noted that the victims as well as the prosecutions have established the contextual elements. The counsel is on page number 11 of the written submission. And we'll move on to establish that the actus of torture took place in this matter. Your Honors, once again, we have given detailed submissions under broad heads such as forced labor, punishment, treatment on the seas, mental pain adduced to the prisoners, as well as the manifestation of this torture, which leads to numerosity of deaths. Your Honor, in light of these submissions, the victims have effectively discharged their burden of drawing a link between the alleged acts as well as the harm suffered. Therefore, Your Honors, the one burden of proof that was on behalf of the victims today was that to establish that there is sufficient harm caused, and this harm was caused at the behest of the accused.
Yes. But how is harm defined? Harm is not defined in the ICC's procedural rules.
Your Excellency, the Council will answer that using the submissions made on page number 2, if Your Excellency may peruse it. Your Honors, we understand that the ICC statute has not defined the word harm. However, in the decision in Lubanga by the ICC itself, it has been held that harm is to, and the notion of such harm is to be determined on a case-by-case basis. Your Honors, as has already been submitted, it is the accepted definition that harm may be a detriment to a personal interest of the victims. This may be of three sorts, Your Honors. It may be physical in nature, mental in nature, or economic. Your Honors, as is submitted, the victims that we seek to represent here today have suffered all three harms. Especially the victims would like to highlight the economic harm in terms of the confiscation of civilian property, as has been averred to the examinations of victim witness 2, whereby the ships and other personal property was taken away under such acts of the accused.
So you did not ask for more time, but we are granting you 2 minutes, out of which 1 minute is already over.
Your Honors?
1 minute is already over because you have taken more time. Now, two last questions probably. One is, are you asking for reparation or damages, dehorse the liability of the defense? That is, suppose we hold that Susan Wanchuk is not liable. Would you independently ask for a relief of this nature? And on what basis? Just answer that and then we'll close.
All right. Your Honors, to answer the first question that was posed by Your Honor, the victims here seek reparations and not damages, Your Honors. It is submitted that it is not possible to quantify damages. However, reparations are sought from the personal property of the accused, since these are of individual nature. Your Honors, moving on to the second question, it is humbly submitted that the victims had a dual burden, not only to establish the guilt of the accused, but also to establish the harm. Therefore, Your Honors, it is submitted that under the ICC regime, it would not be possible for individual reparations to be granted by this chamber unless the accused was convicted. Therefore, Your Honors may note that there are detailed submissions as regards the mens rea as well as mode of liability within the victim's memorial itself. therefore indicating that the victims have indeed, in the course of this trial, established the guilt of the accused as well as the mode of liability beyond reasonable doubt, and on these counts we seek reparations. Your Honour, the same is reflected on page number 28 in our prayers, of which prayer 1 has been granted, and with the permission of the chamber, the rest will be averred.
All right.
Much obliged, Your Honours.
Thank you.
It was indeed an honour arguing before this bench.
Next counsel, yes.
Good evening, Your Excellency. This is Speaker number 2 appearing on behalf of the defence. With the court's prior permission, counsel would like to proceed with the closing statement of the present trial. Your Excellency, in the present case, under Article 66 of the Rome Statute, the prosecution is burdened with proving beyond a reasonable doubt the defendant's guilt, and it's submitted that the same has not been satisfied in relation to the crimes that the defendant has been charged with. Your Excellency, in reference to the first crime that the defendant has been charged with, that is of incitement of others to commit genocide under Article 25, Clause 3, Subclause E. Your Excellency, there are two material elements, that is of direct and public incitement, while the same has a dual intent element too, that is the mens rea of committing the crime of public incitement of others to commit genocide, and that the defendant herself must possess the dolus specialis of the crime. Your Excellency, firstly, in reference to the material element of direct incitement, counsel would like to state that direct incitement is that form of incitement wherein an individual directly prompts or provokes other individuals to commit the crime of genocide, and that the perpetrator must clearly and unmistakably communicate to the addressees or to the audience the need for them to commit genocide. Your Excellency, it's further been stated that the incitement must not be not be mere vague or indirect suggestion, and the same as the implication that the perpetrator must specifically urge other individuals to engage in criminal conduct. Your Excellency, the International Law Commission has further elaborated upon the same by stating that the direct incitement requires that the individual must urge the perpetrator must urge other individuals to take immediate criminal action rather than a mere vague or indirect suggestion of the same. Your Excellency, even in reference to Annexure 8, the same does not call for any immediate criminal action that is in furtherance of committing the atrocities in reference to genocide, Your Excellency, as prohibited under Article 6. At most and at the very most, the speech can only be constituted as a mere or vague indirect suggestion of the same, Your Excellency, and the same is not enough to satisfy the direct element as necessitated under Article 25, Clause 3, Subclause E, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, furthermore, in relation to the dual intent of the crime of incitement of others to commit genocide, the individual must not only contain the mens rea to prompt or provoke other individuals to commit the crime of genocide, but she herself must possess the dolus specialis of the crime, that is the specific or the special intent to commit the crime of genocide.
Can I just pause? Shouldn't she anticipate that her conduct ought to bring about a particular result?
Your Excellency, even that would not satisfy the mens rea threshold in the crime of incitement of others to commit genocide.
I'm not talking of common intention, I'm talking of common object. If you know that this particular suggestion or encouragement,
Your Excellency, Your Excellency, it's also submitted that in the present case, the defendant was exercising her position as the Eastern Slate Defense Minister, and the speech in reference to Annexure 8 which was made by her was only motivating her troops against the Western Slate. Your Excellency, the present context and specific circumstances were such that Eastern Slate and Western Slate were locked in war, and in reference to the Arkayesu case, when deciding whether speech or utterances constitute as incitement of others to commit genocide or not, Your Excellency, the same shall be considered in reference to the context and specific circumstances, and hence the
Counsel, just to add on to that, what the learned brother had asked, is there any, based on the evidence that was available, are you assailing the evidence which was put forth by the prosecution?
Your Excellency,
number one, is there any the cause and effect theory, and also with regard to strict liability, is there any which you can throw light on? Can that be used in such situations?
Your Excellency, the crime of incitement of others to commit genocide does not require a causality element. However, the material elements and the mental elements must be satisfied. The thresholds must be satisfied before an individual can be convicted of the same. And Your Excellency, Counsel would like to reiterate that these thresholds are very high in nature. Your Excellency, hence, not only must the perpetrator directly call for the communication of call for the need of committing genocidal atrocities, Your Excellency. However, the perpetrator must also possess the mens rea of the crime, Your Excellency. That is, that she must have the mens rea of specifically prompting and provoking other individuals to commit that crime. And the same has not been satisfied.
What you're saying is the threshold is very high.
Indeed. Apologies, Excellency.
That the threshold of proof is very high when it comes to genocide.
Indeed, Your Excellency. You want me?
You're saying that that threshold has not been reached.
Your Excellency,
given these facts.
Given these facts, the prosecution has not adduced or tendered any evidence showing that the perpetrator in the present case did possess such mens rea to prompt or provoke other individuals. They have merely stated in reference to Annexure 8.
Are you basing, Counsel, are you basing this on any particular case law or any provision of the conventions? This theory we are putting up, that in case of genocide, it has to be proved beyond doubt.
Your Excellency, this
that the link should be so strong for holding the liability
Your
against
Excellency,
this,
Counsel is only stating that under Article 66, the prosecution is burdened with proving the defendant's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, the present prosecutors have not adduced any evidence to the effect that such mens rea was possessed by the present defendants. That is to prompt or provoke other individuals to commit the crime of genocide, Your Excellency. And this is why Your Excellency, Counsel is stating that the threshold is high, and the same has not been satisfied by the prosecution in the present case.
But what could you provide some guidance to the court as to how the phrase "beyond a reasonable doubt" should be construed in relation to the charges?
Indeed, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, your counsel was only referring to the crime of incitement of others to commit genocide. The prosecution has only stated and referred to Annexure number 8, Your Excellency, and they've left it right there. They haven't stated anything about the mental element nor about the dolus specialis, Your Excellency.
Yes, but what about case law, in particular the case law of the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia? Can this court rely on that jurisprudence to determine the mens rea threshold with regard to genocide?
Which case law, Your Excellency? Counsel could not hear it properly.
The case law of the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia, the Tadic case, for example, or even the case law of the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, which has made numerous pronouncements concerning genocide.
Your Excellency, these are basically, these encapsulate the present law, Your Excellency. These are interpretations. Your Excellency, the Rome Statute, it's basically a hybrid of the statutes which govern the ICTI and the ICTY, Your Excellency. And hence,
but I'm talking specifically about case law, jurisprudence.
Indeed, Your Excellency.
What case law do you think this court, us judges, should refer to in determining whether the
indeed, Your Excellency. Your
crime
Excellency,
or not?
Counsel would like to refer to the RKSU case in which it was stated that incitement has to be considered in a case-to-case basis with reference to the context and specific circumstances. Your Excellency, furthermore, Counsel would like to refer to the media case, that is the Ferdinand Nahimana et al. Case, in which it was the dual intent was also stated, Your Excellency. And in reference to the same, Counsel would elaborate upon how incitement of others to commit genocide has not occurred in the present case. May the Counsel proceed to the next crime, Your Excellency?
Yep.
Your Excellency, the next crime that the defendant has been charged with is the war crime of torture or inhuman treatment as prohibited under Article 25, Article 8, Clause 2, Subclause A. The second alternative, read along with the individual criminal responsibility under Article 25, Clause 3, Subclause B. Your Excellency, in reference to the Rome Statute, in reference to the elements of crime, there are 5 common elements between the aforementioned war crimes, while there exists a 6th or uncommon additional in reference to the war crime of torture, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, in the present case, it's the defense's submission that the common elements of the criminal conduct taking place in the context of an international armed conflict has not been satisfied.
No, but how is the crime of torture defined?
I'm sorry, Your Excellency?
The crime of torture,
Your
how
Excellency,
is it defined under the statute? Is it defined at all?
Your Excellency, Counsel was referring to the elements of crime in which it states the 5 common elements are that an individual must be subjected to severe physical or mental pain or suffering. Such individuals must fall within the Geneva Convention. That such criminal conduct took place in an international armed conflict. That the perpetrator was aware of the existence of such international armed conflict, Your Excellency, and the perpetrator was aware of the existence of the individuals having the protected status under the Geneva Convention. Your Excellency, the defendant's submissions are two-pronged. Your Excellency, firstly, the defendant was not aware of the protected status of the individuals under the Geneva Convention. Secondly, Your Excellency, the criminal conduct which allegedly took place was not in the context of an international armed conflict. Your Excellency, in reference to an international armed conflict,
so should a differentiation be made under the laws of armed conflict between torture committed during an international armed conflict and torture committed during a non-international armed conflict? Are there different obligations?
Your Excellency, this is only in reference to the war crime.
What would be the application of Common Article 3?
I'm sorry, Your Excellency?
The Common Article 3 to the Geneva Convention.
Your Excellency, Common Article 3, Your Excellency, the Council is unaware of the same. Your Excellency, and the Council would like to further reiterate that it is evident to it's imperative to find the nexus between the alleged war crime which has occurred and the international armed conflict as a whole. Your Excellency, in the present case, it was, Your Excellency may permit this leg of...
You'll have one moment.
1 minute.
Your Excellency, in the present case, the war crime was in no way related to the international armed conflict, as it was the ASCO prison facilities policies, Your Excellency, to implement 62 hours work of forced labor, and the defendant was nowhere involved with the same, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, the defendant's orders in regards to the functioning of the ASCO prison facilities were restricted at most, and she seldom got a chance to make such orders. Your Excellency, furthermore, in reference to the responsibility in relation to 25 clause 3 subclause B, that is ordering the crime, Your Excellency, only when the defendant orders with awareness a particular crime, that is that she has a specific mens rea, only then can she be convicted. Your Excellency, in the present case, it is submitted in relation to DW1's testimony that she did not make any orders in relation to war crimes of torture or inhuman treatment, Your Excellency, and her role in making such orders was limited. May the Council move on to the next. Your Excellency, now in relation to the war crime of intentionally using starvation as a method of warfare, Your Excellency, in the present case, Council would like to refer to DW1's testimony and DW4's testimony, in which she clearly stated that there was sufficient food, not only an abundant amount of food, Your Excellency, the quantity of food was abundant. However, at certain canteens, Your Excellency, the food materials were being provided at an affordable rate, Your Excellency, and hence it can be clearly seen that there was contrary intention and that the defendant had not adopted any tactics or any method of intentionally using starvation as a method of warfare, Your Excellency. Lastly, Your Excellency, in relation to the war crime of Your Excellency, in relation to the crimes against humanity of torture, the criminal responsibility, as Your Excellency have already mentioned, under Article 28 Clause B. Your Excellency, in the present case, neither did the present defendant consciously disregard any information regarding her...
Last 30 seconds for you.
Your Excellency, this is the last leg. Not only did she not consciously disregard any commission of crimes by a subordinate, but she herself did not know that such crimes were in fact being committed by her subordinates, Your Excellency. And the prosecution has not tendered nor reduced any evidence in regards to the same.
Should she have not carried out her own investigations to acquire that knowledge, whether her subordinates were committing those crimes?
Your Excellency, the present defendant was completely unaware that such atrocities were being committed in regards to the prison inmates, Your Excellency. Had she been aware, I'm sure that she would have conducted such investigations.
Or was it willful blindness?
Indeed not, Your Excellency. She was not aware in the first place, Your Excellency. As you can see, Your Excellency, the present defendant only had a limited role, Your Excellency. And she visited the prisons very seldom and very rarely. And hence such knowledge is not imputable to the defendant. That'll be all, Your Excellency. Thank you.
Thank you.
The court is adjourned. The results will be pronounced later.
Good evening, everyone. I request everyone to kindly settle down, please. The journey of the first edition of SICTA 2016, which began with a humble deliberation in our Director Madam's office, has today grown up with culminated amount of success and appreciation. And as it is the nature of things, whatever begins should come to an end. And hence, ladies and gentlemen, we are here after months of intensive preparation and research and 2 days of grilling session to witness the valedictory ceremony of the first Symbiosis International Criminal Trial Advocacy Competition 2016. We have with us on the dais today Honorable Mr. Justice M. Chandran Sir, Judge Madras High Court, as a chief guest for the day. We also have Honorable Mr. Justice Mohan Pierce Sir, former Chief Justice and Attorney General Sri Lanka. Finally, gracing us with her presence and expertise, we have Dr. Anna Mary Brennan, Ma'am, Consultant Trial Chamber, International Criminal Court, Hague. With such a reverend bench of judges, it is indeed our fortune to be here to admire all those who have strived relentlessly and recognize those who have accomplished by grit and merit. Without further ado, I request our Director, Dr. Shashikala Gurpur Ma'am, to kindly felicitate the guests. Ma'am, we request you to kindly felicitate our chief guest for the day, Honorable Mr. Justice M. Chandran Sir. Thank you, sir. Ma'am, we also request you to kindly felicitate Honorable Justice Mohan Pierce, sir. Thank you, sir. Ma'am, we further request you to kindly felicitate Dr. Anna Mary Brennan, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. We further request our Deputy Director, Dr. Bindu Ronald, ma'am, to kindly felicitate Julia Ann Moffat, ma'am, Faculty Coach for the Sussex, University of Sussex, UK. We further request you to kindly felicitate Ms. Iman Al-Qasim, ma'am, Faculty Coach, Kuwait International Law School. We further request you to kindly felicitate Mr. Satish Adhikari, Coach, New Nepal Law Campus 1. Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
Professor Anna Mary Brennan, ma'am, joined the University of Liverpool as a lecturer in September 2014. She was awarded her PhD entitled The Accountability of Transnational Armed Groups Under International Law in early 2015. Ma'am specializes in international law, in particular international criminal law and international humanitarian law. She is particularly interested in the limits of international criminal law in bringing members of network-based transnational terrorist groups to justice. She also has a keen interest in international peace and security, the use of force, counter-terrorism, and the limits of international humanitarian law in regulating armed conflict situations involving armed groups such as the ISIS. Ma'am has also peer-reviewed various reputed journals including the Cambridge University Press and the International Journal for Legal Education. She has been the consultant in the trial chamber of the International Criminal Court, Hague. In fact, ma'am is a member of the defense team of the Radovan Karadzic case in the ICTY. We are also pleased to inform that ma'am is in fact going to Amsterdam on the 23rd of this month to attend the judgment and the verdict of the same case. Without further ado, I request Dr. Anna Mary Brennan ma'am to kindly address the gathering.
Thank you very much for hosting me here over the last 3 or 4 days. In particular, I'd like to thank Professor Gorper and also the 2 honourable judges that have been working with me today as we judge this very prestigious competition. International criminal law is a growing discipline. It is still in its infancy. And of course, we only just in recent years have established the first permanent court to adjudicate genocide, crimes against humanity and war crimes, and of course from next year, crime of aggression. So it's a great privilege to assist in judging this competition, and hopefully we'll be the first of many, many international criminal law competitions here at Symbiosis Law School. Indeed, many law schools all over the world are endeavouring to foster and develop international criminal law as a subject, and hopefully Liverpool Law School, where I'm a lecturer in law, and hopefully Symbiosis Law School as well, we can collaborate and establish stronger links, not only between our law schools but also between our countries. So I'd like to thank all the staff at Symbiosis Law School for welcoming me here today, but also students who have helped me find my way from Mumbai airport when I landed to ensuring that my hotel stay went very smoothly, and to also ensuring very well organised moot court competition. Over the years, as a student, I did a lot of mooting. I've also attended the moot court competitions, and I've judged moot court competitions, and this is by far the most organised and most efficient competition that I've ever attended. So I think this competition is a great credit to the students here for the amount of work that you've put in. And I wish my own students at Liverpool Law School would be able to pull off the organisation of an event like this. So I think the students here deserve a very great round of applause for their great contribution to this event. So without further ado, I don't want to be taking up too much time because I'm aware it's quite late in the evening. I'd like to hand over to Professor Gorper for the award ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for those enlightening words. I would now like to take the opportunity to introduce our guest of honor, Honorable Mr. Justice Mohan Pierce, sir. Sir is a man who wears many hats of expertise. His Lordship was the former Chief Justice of Sri Lanka. He has also served his country in the capacity of the Attorney General of Sri Lanka from 2008 to 2011. His Lordship was called to the bar in the year 1975 and joined the Attorney General's Department in 1981 as a State Counsel, later serving as a Senior State Counsel for over 15 years. During his time, His Lordship trained at the National Institute of Trial Advocacy at Harvard Law School, the Center for Police and Criminal Justice Studies at Jesus College, Cambridge, and at George Washington University. He was also the Deputy President of Sri Lanka Bar Association and a member of Sri Lankan delegation to the Universal Periodic Review at the 8th session of the Human Rights Councils of United Nations. His Lordship specializes in the areas of administrative law, commercial law, land laws, fundamental rights, industrial laws, and criminal law. Without further delay, may I request His Lordship to kindly enlighten the eager audience with his words of wisdom.
Professor Gurpur, I'm not too sure whether it is the time to make long speeches after perhaps a very long day. But be that as it may I first of all thank you for inviting me to spend the day with you today and enjoy this wonderful afternoon where we had to judge a debate, or at least a moot, on international criminal law. First of all, may I, with the permission of Justice Jayasandra and Anna Maria and other dignitaries and academia who are present here, let me also thank you for this wonderful environment that you have created for all of us here, and particularly in my case, I must say, I've had such a warm welcome from the time I set foot in this part of the world. I'm not too far away from you. As I said this morning, I'm just 6 miles away from the southern tip of this country, in the beautiful little Sri Lanka. Now, let me say this. We've had a pretty tough time, quite apart from telling our figures, in judging this whole competition. And I thought the enthusiasm that was displayed, the keenness, the probing nature of the submissions that were made, although perhaps it's 41 years, and I think between the few of us, we have a few number of years behind us, and we always tend to judge people by our own standards. I have sat there myself, I can tell the students, and done exactly the same thing that you've done. I've made horrible submissions, I've made good ones, whatnot. But that is the part of learning. That is the part of learning. And that is to make, the terrible submissions you make and you think you've made a wonderful submission. But be that as it may, the cutting your teeth, so to speak, in fora such as this is the great opportunity that perhaps some of us during our time did not quite have. So really, my dear students, you are privileged to be in an institution that provides for you a complete simulation of what a courthouse is. And when I say complete simulation, I don't mean it with the tongue in my cheek, but you have 2 judges of the superior courts and a great academic to judge you today. And what better judgment can you have than perhaps by our own judgments, which I can assure you without fear nor favor. Now, having said that, let me tell you that you've all done marvelously this afternoon, grappling with a subject, international criminal law. Someone would say that, would use the expression that fools don't rush in where angels fear to tread, so to speak. And that's the kind of environment you are. You are virtually thrown at the deep end of things, and Professor Anna Maria will tell you that international criminal law is not the easiest of subjects that you can grapple with, because there are no real standards when it comes to genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity. It's just how we, as a community, as a global community, would judge that particular activity, whether it's offensive. Sometimes something which looks terrible doesn't quite measure up to those international standards that we set for these crimes, because they are of a very special nature. And I say very special nature because they really flow from a contravention of the natural rights, from natural law, that we as members of the human family are entitled to. That's how fundamental it is, and it is so important for the preservation of the world order, so that human beings can live on this planet with dignity. And that's what it is all about, and that you are at the threshold of taking over from us. And remember, there is a huge trust that has been bestowed upon you by not only the people of this republic, but perhaps globally, to make the planet a safer place to live in, and to be able to live in dignity, and most of all, in peace. And I think you've taken the first step today in a perhaps a giant step for Maharashtra, and a huge step perhaps for the whole of India, and perhaps for the global community. So congratulations on this pioneering step on your part, Professor Gurpur, and your students and faculty. And I think that you actually need, or you are entitled to more than great accolades in this great venture that you have taken forward. So let me wish you, I can tell you, there are winners and losers in anything. There are winners and losers in anything. It's not every one of us who can win and every one of us who can lose. But the main thing that we don't see perhaps globally is to learn to play the game. And when I say learn to play the game, whether it be cricket, whether it will be your behavior in the global community, or perhaps in the community around you, you've got to learn to be fair. You've got to learn to respect your neighbor. You've got to learn to respect everyone on this planet, every species, so to speak, treat it with dignity, so that there is a great symbiosis, so to speak, in this global order. So thank you very much. God bless you all and wish you all the best. Thanks.
We thank you very much, sir, for the insightful words of wisdom. Moving on. Honorable Thiru Justice M. Jayachandran has completed his BA from Madras Christian College in Chennai and subsequently completed his MA in Criminology from University of Madras. Sir further completed his LLB and LLM from University of Delhi. He was appointed as the Government Counsel at the High Court to represent the state of Tamil Nadu. Later, he was appointed as Standing Counsel for the State Transport Corporation, DCTC. Sir has a keen interest in academics, and the same is manifested by the fact that for over 16 years, he has been a professor of constitutional law at Dr. Ambedkar Government Law College, Chennai. Sir has also written a number of articles on intricate legal and social issues. He was also invited to the United States of America as an international visitor on human rights issues in 1996 on the invitation of the American government. Further, he is an active member of the International Diplomacy Council and the Association of International Visitors in Washington. Sir was also chosen to represent India as a fellow of the Session 390 on International Legal Perspectives on Human Rights in Salzburg, Austria. He was appointed the judge of the Madras High Court on the 10th of December 2005. Without further ado, I take this opportunity to invite our chief guest of the evening, Justice Thiru M. Jayachandran, sir, to address the gathering.
Dr. Sashikala, Justice Mohan P.S., Mrs. Anna Marie, the faculty of Symbiosis Law College, the beloved students, both of this college and the participants who come here, and the other invitees, maybe some of the parents are here as well. I deem it a privilege to be invited to be the chief guest for this final round of the competition. As it was mentioned by Justice Mohan, it was a great experience. In fact, we are sorry it took some time to do the calculations because it was quite close. And what we found was this was the first time that this kind of a moot was organized. I'm told this is the first kind in the world, if I'm right, on a criminal law subject by the ICC. As it was mentioned, I was a professor of law for about 16 years, a part-time professor as I was practicing. My usual practice is to carry these notes, but I will not trouble you with that because it's already 8 past. What we found from the students who had participated in the finals, they were all good. Almost all of them were equally good. I'm sure they will go a long way. It doesn't really matter as to who won or who lost, because participation in such competitions is to develop your soft skills. You know, it's a harsh reality of life when you go out into the world. You have to learn these soft skills to make it big. And usually when the students come to me after they pass the exams, they'll say, sir, I've done well in your subject. I was teaching for a long time constitutional law in the Government Law College at Chennai. I used to say that you scored good marks in spite of me, which means the credit goes to you. You worked hard, and the credit, of course, goes to the entire team which organized this moot. I'm sure they've been working day in and day out for the past 1 month at least. So the faculty, of course, they've been helping them out. And I used to tell them, when they finish the law course, the students come and ask, what do we do? We say law is like an ocean. Anybody can jump in and swim. But please remember that you will be swimming along with some sharks, meaning well, the advocates. So you'll have to really sharpen your teeth, buckle up, tighten your belts, and then be prepared to meet some hard challenges. And this is one way you can learn the soft skills of what we call as the art of advocacy, which is sadly being lost substantially. Especially in Chennai, we had a lot of problems in the Madras High Court. You must have seen in the papers, we had to bring in the Central Industrial Security Force to take care of the lawyers. So this is a small segment or section of the lawyers who have been causing some trouble. Apart from that, I used to tell the students when they pass out, de-learn all that you've learned in the college and relearn the art of advocacy, because what we teach in the colleges of law are some basic rudimentary issues, an eagle's eye of the laws, statutes prevailing. But then what you have to learn when you start practicing as lawyers is much more. This is what is called the art of advocacy. From the time you enter the court hall and when you say, may I please, in fact, today we were finding that lacking a little bit from the participants. You know how you have to start addressing the court. Even the traditional lawyers who've been there for 50 years, 60 years at the bar, the moment they enter the court, they used to stand at the door, bow at the podium, come in. After they transact whatever they have to do, and they go out again, turn at the podium, bow and leave. This was a part of the tradition of the courts, especially the high courts. So therefore, those values, when a senior advocate comes, when a junior is sitting in a chair, he used to offer his chair to the senior lawyer who comes. Those small things which are lost now. We don't know how it is in Sri Lanka, but at least here we know that much of it is lost. So we've been trying to tell the lawyers as to how they'll have to get into these traditional values and systems which we've been following for years. Fantastic was the only word I can use for all of us on behalf of all the two others who've been sitting along with me to judge this moot. They've prepared well. We can see that they've really put in a lot of work behind whatever they were doing. But since it was something different, I've been a judge of a number of moots for the last 20 or 30 years, and then JSUPs and others, CVIS. But this is something very, very different. The credit goes to the team which had organized this particular moot. Another thing which I am proud of is coming to Pune for the first time, but this is, I could even say that my first daughter-in-law is a Maharashtrian. So that way, I think I also, in a way, belong to this place. I really not only thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to come here. I wish the students, all those who had participated, don't mind that you lost. All those who participated, I wish them luck in future, and I'm sure you will be going great distances. I may be meeting some of you again. I'm invited to judge some more moots. So wish you all luck. I don't want to take more time. I had a lot to say. This would have taken another half an hour, but I'm sure I can see all of you are very, very tired. So thank you very much, the organizers, the college. I wish you all the best. Just one quotation before I go back to my seat from Justice M.C. Chagla, who was heard of him, a very popular judge of the Bombay High Court. He said, I quote him, "We must learn to hold out our hands to the stars, although we know full well that we can never reach them. Unless we aim at the unattainable, existence becomes humdrum and prosaic. There is neither zest nor color nor poetry in anything we do. Ultimately, it is upon each one of us to make life colorful and gay and a lifelong festival." Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for those insightful words. I would now request Dr. Atmanam Shelke, sir, Faculty in Charge, Moot Court Association, to kindly declare the results for the event.
Good evening, everybody. Respected dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, respected faculty members, and dear participants. As judges have mentioned, it was quite difficult competition, and in every competition, I think there may be winner or learner. There cannot be any loser in any competition. So we are going to declare two parts. Few people will be winner and other will be treated as learner. So without further delay, we start with first award, that is second best memorial award. It includes cash prize of ₹5,000, a trophy, and book by LexisNexis. I request Dr. Anna Mary Madam to give away the award. The winner team, that is second best memorial award winner team, is team from Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia National Law University, Lucknow. I request the member of the team to take the award. Next award is Best Memorial Award. It includes three things. One, a cash prize of ₹10,000, a book by LexisNexis, and a trophy. I request Madam to give away the prize, and I request the winning team to collect the award. And the winning team is School of Law, Christ University, Bangalore. Thank you, ma'am. Now I request Dr. Shashikala Gurupur, Director, Symbiosis Law School, Pune, to give away next award, that is Third Best Student Advocate Award. It is divided in two participants. First is Ryan Dowling from University of Sussex, UK, and Prashant Nandaraj from School of Law, Christ University, Bangalore. I request Christ University. Prashant Nadraj from Christ University, Bangalore. Award of second best student advocate goes to Ujmal Mohan from Gujarat National Law University, Gandhinagar. I request Dr. Shashikala Gurupur, Director Symbiosis Law School, Pune, to give away the award. This award includes cash prize of 5,000 rupees, trophy and book from Nexus. Thank you, ma'am. Next award is Best Student Advocate Award, and I request Honorable Justice Jay Chandran sir to give away the award. The award goes to Tanishta Vaid from Gujarat National Law University, Gandhinagar. This award includes cash prize of 10,000 rupees, trophy and book from LexisNexis. Thank you, sir. Next award is Sri P.V. Ramaya Memorial Best Prosecutors Award. I request Honorable Mohan P.S. to give away the award. And award goes to Prashant Nadraj, School of Christ University, Bangalore. This award includes cash prize of 10,000 rupees, trophy and book from LexisNexis. I also request our own alumnus, Sampath sir, to give away the award. Next award is Best Student Advocate Final Round Award, and I request Dr. Shashikala Gurupur, Director Symbiosis Law School, Pune, to give away the award. The winner of this award is Ashna Shah from Government Law College, Mumbai, and this award includes cash prize of 5,000 rupees, trophy and book from LexisNexis. Thank you, ma'am. Next award is Best International Team Award, and award goes to University of Sussex, UK. And I request Anna madam to give away the award. Dr. Anna madam. Next award is second runner-up award, and award goes to team from Dr. Ram Mohan Loya National Law School, Lucknow. And I request Anna ma'am to give away the award. This award includes cash prize of rupees 10,000 rupees, book from LexisNexis. There are 2 books from LexisNexis. Thank you, ma'am. Next award is first runner-up award, and award goes to a team from Gujarat National Law School, Gandhinagar. And I request Honorable Mohan Kier sir to give away the award. This award includes cash prize of 25,000, book from LexisNexis, and LexisNexis Green Pen Drive. And finally, award of winner goes to Government of Law College, Mumbai. And I request Jay Chandran sir and other dignitaries to give away the award. This award includes cash prize of 50,000 rupees, 3 books from LexisNexis and LexisNexis Green Pen Drive. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. I wish all the best to the winners and learners in this competition. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I would now request our Deputy Director, Dr. Bindu Ronald ma'am, to kindly deliver the vote of thanks. Thank you.
It is important to train law students in lawyering skills and provide them a platform where they understand the importance of experiential learning through the simulation exercises such as moots and mock trials. Mission has succeeded in providing an opportunity where the students needed to understand the psychology of persuasion, use the skills of cross-examination and strategic planning. The first Symbiosis Law School Pune International Criminal Trial Advocacy Competition has concluded and the trophy has been claimed by one of the participating teams. One team goes back with the trophy. Everyone who came and participated in this competition, be it as a participating team, audience or volunteer, is returning with a lot of experience which will help them in their professional careers. There are many who have contributed to the success of this competition. We had a galaxy of eminent personalities who graced the competition. I thank Honorable Justice M. Jayachandran, Judge, Madras High Court, for accepting our invitation to be the chief guest. Thank you, sir, for judging the competition and the final rounds and selecting the best team. We also thank you for addressing the audience and sharing your thoughts. I thank Dr. Anna Mary Brennan, Consultant, Trial Chamber International Criminal Court, for accepting our invitation to judge the final round, and thank you, ma'am, for addressing the audience. I also take this opportunity to thank Justice Pierce, former Chief Justice and Attorney General Sri Lanka, for gracing the final round and addressing the audience and complimenting the participants. I place on record the contributions of all other eminent persons who judged the preliminary and semi-final rounds. Symbiosis Law School Pune is grateful to the management, Padma Bhushan Dr. S.B. Mujumdar, Founder, Director and President, Symbiosis, and Chancellor, Symbiosis International University, Dr. Vidya Yaravdekar, Principal Director, Symbiosis, Dr. Rajni Gupte, Vice Chancellor, Symbiosis International University, for their great leadership, support and encouragement they have been extending to the law school. Dr. Shashikala Gurpur, Director, Symbiosis Law School Pune, has been playing a key role making and taking this law school to great heights. She has an eye for details and she has been the constant source of inspiration to everyone at Symbiosis Law School Pune. Thank you, ma'am, for conceptualizing this competition and integrating and institutionalizing experiential learning culture in the law school. We had participation from 18 national and international teams. We were very happy to host all of you here at Symbiosis Law School Pune. As you go back, we hope you have many pleasant memories of this city and the law school. We are sure that this competition has not only been a platform for learning, but has also been a ground where new friendships have been forged, which will be lasting relations. I express my gratitude to all members of the Moot Court Association, headed by Dr. Atmaram Shelke and Professor Shirish Kulkarni, and backed with a very enthusiastic student team. They were also supported by the Event Management Committee members and the PR committee. We are also indebted to Advocate Ram Jethmalani, Professor Emeritus, Symbiosis International University, and Senior Advocate, Supreme Court of India, and Professor Chris Gledhill for their contribution to this competition. Special thanks to our knowledge partner, LexisNexis, and all our sponsors, Advocate Sampath Bolusu, General Manager, Legal Shell Hazira, Ahmedabad, who's also an alumni of Symbiosis Law School Pune, Bell Tele Services Private Limited, Saga Manufacturing Private Limited, and Shriji Infrastructure Private Limited. We had immense contribution from all the students and everyone, and also the faculty and the non-teaching staff here. Thank you one and all for ensuring that the competition was a success. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Would now request the audience to kindly be seated while the dignitaries leave the dais.